Not too bad.
Hair's looking good this morning, Patrick.
Thanks. Just got out of the shower like 10 minutes ago.
Atta boy.
Good timing.
Tipping off the most unique NCAA tournament in history with the first four today, and Gamecock baseball on the wrong end of a four-game losing streak after last night's midweek game against Davidson going exactly how they did not want it to go. That's how we start this morning. Hope your Thursday morning's off to a good start.
Don't bury the lead.
I'm sorry?
There's of the four of us, one of us should be, or what I noticed on Twitter last night, is extremely happy.
I'm extremely happy.
Yeah, you are.
I have been for the last 3 days. Every night has ended with great Washington football team news.
Just
for the last 3 days.
Go ahead and celebrate. Let's just open the floor to you today, because I know you are it's a bad day for the Panthers and a great day for the Patrick Peretz and the Washington football team.
Well, I don't think the Panthers expected to bring back Curtis Samuel. Maybe there was a chance, but the last 3 days, there's been a lot of movement during the day, a lot of action during the day, guys getting picked up. And then at between 9 and 10 o'clock every night, first night, bang, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Second night, bang, William Jackson, best corner in the free agency class. And then last night, Curtis Samuel. We're becoming a very complete team, and I'm pumped about it.
I'm telling you, Tim, I could feel the energy through his tweet last night. That was the Entourage. I forget the character. I haven't seen Entourage in forever now. I've realized.
Johnny Drama.
Yeah, Johnny, thank you. I could just feel the energy of Patrick. I knew that he would show up ready to carry the program for 3 hours.
The draft is 42 days away, and we have no glaring needs. It's a great feeling knowing that you can go into the draft and just take the best player.
God bless Patrick for that, huh? He is going to push that NFL draft as much as possible. So 6 weeks from today, by my math then?
Today is Thursday, right? I never know what day it is. Yeah, exactly.
6 weeks from today, the NFL draft, but the Washington football team, they're just doing that for fun. No specific needs, just going to adding to an already stacked playoff roster.
That's how you get yourself into trouble, is when you say, we really need this. It worked out for the Bucs last year because they said we really need a left tackle. They drafted a first-round left tackle, and he ended up being great and helped anchor their offensive line to a Super Bowl. But normally when you say, hey, we really need a wide receiver, number 2 wide receiver, and then you pigeonhole yourself into taking a wide receiver, even if he's not, you overdraft and you don't get good value there and he's not ready to compete right away, you end up getting yourself in trouble. So just being able to trust your evaluations and say, we're at pick 19, the whole board is at our disposal. Whoever the best player is, we're going to take him there. And that's how you make your team better. That's how you build a roster.
Yeah, I get it that Samuel had a good year last year, the best ones so far of his career, no doubt. Now he gets to reunite with his Ohio State teammate and Terry McLaurin there at Washington.
It's honestly more about Terry than Curtis Samuel. It's the sum of all the parts together. It's not Curtis Samuel has changed our entire team because Curtis Samuel is so incredible. What's happened now is we have a quarterback that can push the ball down the field and is willing to take shots. We only had Terry McLaurin last year as our only option, besides Logan Thomas, who got a bunch of balls at tight end, but they were not deep targets. They were all just underneath dump-offs. Now Terry McLaurin is not going to have 2 guys on him at all times because you do have to be aware of Curtis Samuel taking the top off. So it's going to help everything. It's going to alleviate a lot of stress for everyone, and just helps. It helps to have 2 guys. You need 2 guys.
You look like a proud papa over there.
So I was going to say, so I will ask all morning. Of course, I'll only be here for an hour and then have to go attend to some family business. But I will ask, or you can ask all morning, are you happy or are you Patrick Peretz happy to see the NCAA tournament start today? Right? There's 2 kinds of happy. You're happy or you're Patrick Peretz happy today?
We are number 1 in the off-season improvement index.
That's a thing?
Yep, I'll retweet it right now. I just retweeted it.
This is a big carrot?
Most wins above replacement added in
Most wins above replacement added. Yeah. So there you go. So you got
She hits us up. Says Big Carrot is happy this morning. This is a rare occurrence, wouldn't you say, Bill?
I don't know. I feel like he is as happy as he could be, with the exception of maybe National Lacrosse Championship Day.
I do love Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have given me all the weekends, and it would have taken me a while to get into
National
the
Lacrosse Championship Day.
National Championship.
So you got that end of the spectrum, and then I feel like we have your end of the spectrum, which was a long night at the ball field.
Let's see, a 4 hours and 12-minute ball game last night. You know, midweek college baseball a lot of times turns into that. Didn't expect it quite the way it went down last night at Founders Park for the Gamecocks, especially after they go up 1-0 in the first inning. Josiah Seitler keeps a hit streak going. I think he's up to 7 in a row or something like that. Gamecocks up 1-0 against a Davidson team that just got swept at the Citadel over the weekend, and thought it would continue to cruise from there. It did, but only for Davidson, basically. The final score last night, 9-4. Davidson had come in with a combined 4 runs over the weekend against the Citadel, and that was just in their final game. And, man, got to give them a bunch of credit. And now the Gamecocks on a 4-game losing streak coming off of their weekend sweep at Texas, headed to Vanderbilt this weekend, who has the best pitching staff in the country, certainly the top 2 starters in Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter. And this team that we were talking about so glowingly, and rightly so, this time last week, has hit a really tough stretch. And not that it doesn't happen in college baseball, and they can't bounce right back and get things going with the series win on the road this weekend. But last night was just not a good look for sure, and a tough night all the way around, a tough and long night with 9 pitchers on the mound. And a lot of those guys, 3rd, 4th, and 5th innings is really where it got away from Carolina. A 5 spot Davidson put up in the 3rd inning, a team that had gone in struggling mightily. I don't know how you can feel good going into Nashville now when you're Mark Kingston and company. Bill, what'd you make of the ball game?
Yeah, it just looked like baseball. We talked about this a few weeks ago, or I talked about it just in terms of momentum and confidence, and the ball gets rolling in the right direction, and it can really take off, and you can go 10-0, regardless of competition. Baseball's a tough sport, but you can go 10-0, and then the ball can get rolling in the wrong direction, and you can start losing games. And you can look at the Clemson Tigers right now as a perfect example of that. They got bopped around by USC Upstate, 2 weeks ago, and have struggled with losses to being, I think, swept by North Carolina and a series loss to Notre Dame. And so with all that being said, South Carolina has to get it going, and has to get it going quickly on Friday night, in my opinion, to get a little bit of momentum back and not get swept here. And unfortunately, when you go to the number 2 team in the country, that's kind of the goal. I don't know if it's to win the series, but it's going to be difficult.
No doubt. And how Carolina responds is how we're really going to, I think, define this season. 11-0 start was fun, and getting back into the conversation amongst the best teams in the country. Certainly a good feeling for Gamecock baseball. The pieces in place, and Wes Clark continues to hit home runs. Did it again last night. His nation-leading 10th, barely getting out and left field late in that ball game to give Carolina that final run, I believe it was. But 9-4 loss to Davidson midweek. Certainly reasons for, I would say, more concern than the weekend sweep at Texas. You go to a top 25 team, a program that has all the history and the tradition that Texas does, and you lose some close ball games. That's baseball, right? But you turn around, you come home before going to start SEC play against what's kind of become your rival, I guess, Vandy and Florida, the top 2, and those are the first 2 that you start with in the conference. I can understand how you don't get emotionally back up for a game, but still you would think that South Carolina's talent would take over at some point, especially against a team that's also struggling coming into the game. Davidson nothing to lose, and they played like it last night, and Carolina just never found any kind of momentum, rhythm, energy, and the pitching staff not performing how they would have liked to have seen coming out of the bullpen especially with 9 different guys. That was kind of the plan. It wasn't like somebody got in trouble. Will Sanders was just fine to start, and then things didn't go as planned for sure. So it's saw Mark Kingston gather his team after the game and speak probably a little longer than he typically would on the field, interested in what the message was that was relayed there, and then how Carolina will respond now after losing its 4th straight here, facing some adversity in mid-March as we begin to also get into the March Madness officially today. 5 o'clock here on 107.5 The Game is when basketball coverage will take over. The first 4 will take us through the rest of the night. Bill, have you filled out the bracket? Are you good to go? Do you feel like you have a good idea of what's going to happen for the first few games tonight? And then are you ready for a full day of basketball kind of one day later than usual starting tomorrow?
Yeah, it feels weird. I haven't filled out what I will label the official bracket. I'll do that later this afternoon here before 5 o'clock. I filled out the one that you, Patrick, and I kind of moseyed through on the live stream where I had all 4 1 seeds in there the other day. But I'll fill out an official one. I'll put it on paper here shortly today while I'm doing a few different things. And, it's strange. Guys, we haven't had the NCAA tournament in 2 years. Or in 1 year, not having it last year. And so it's really weird kind of just how much I've forgotten about it and how much I enjoyed today, typically the opening Thursday of college basketball and some of the little small things I would do, just, you play hooky or get out of work or whatever you do. I think a few years ago, 2-3 years ago, we were at Ale House downtown doing kind of a little deal down there in the afternoon and watching games. So I think we were watching Ja Morant and Murray State win their opening round game, which was really neat. But I'll watch today. The first 4 I've always been kind of give or take on, but tomorrow I am getting a little excited. I am building a little bit of excitement. Kind of fascinated to see how the bubble looks. Fascinated to see how the tournament goes and really again get back into the spring.
I mean, this is not your typical first 4 though. Yeah, Michigan State, UCLA. Like, this is probably the best first 4 matchup we've had
in terms of names.
Blue blood program, and Michigan State, which is, I guess, on the borderline of that.
I think the older college basketball fans probably just heard you say that and thought you were going with UCLA. One of the most dominant programs of all time.
No, that's what I'm saying. UCLA is the blue blood, and then Michigan State doesn't have the history, but in the last, 30, 40 years, they've been as dominant as any program.
Yeah. Magic Johnson was pretty good there.
Yeah, that's
sure. I think you got to start it.
Was that 40 years, 50 years ago? I don't know. He's not that old, right?
That was the 79 or 80 national championship. I think it was the 79 national championship. Yep, you got Magic versus Bird in Indiana State and Michigan State. So, we do that math. That's right. It's 42 years from Michigan State. I'm with you on that one. But, Bill, as you were talking about the last time we saw an NCAA tournament get going, man, a lot has changed, hasn't it? Because not only were we out and doing what we typically do during an NCAA tournament, having some fun at a local establishment and giving away some tickets, giving away some Gamecock baseball tickets and the whole thing. But remember that's when the tournament was in town. And then not just the NCAA tournament was in town, but Zion Williamson and Duke and the NCAA tournament was in town and had that epic Duke Central Florida game with Taco Fall and Johnny Dawkins. He was on the sideline coaching, and his son was almost knocking off Duke, but keeping them going to the Sweet 16. Duke ends up pulling it out in overtime, I believe. It was an epic scene for us specifically here in town. And, man, everything that's happened since then, it's hard to fathom the latest news. And one of the reasons I'm with you, Bill, and haven't filled out a bracket yet, just waiting for kind of the latest information. And some of that, unfortunately, came out for Georgia Tech yesterday. And their ACC Player of the Year, Moses Wright, going to miss the first-round game against Loyola Chicago. That one coming out last night. And Wright has been playing as well as anybody in the country, had 26 and 10 against Virginia Tech, 31 and 16 against Syracuse, 29 and 14 against Duke in that big-time run in the ACC tourney for Georgia Tech. So that might change how you're looking there. Certainly makes Patrick, your call of Illinois getting out of that bracket look maybe a little bit smoother or easier.
Yeah, I mean that first game, that's Loyola Chicago is a really good team, but I'm picking Georgia Tech because I am sick and tired of Sister Jean, and she needs to be put in her place.
Oh,
Right, that
okay. I was
101-year-old
concerned
nun.
where you were going with that there.
Takes
but
away all of the attention from the players on the team.
She is kind of an attention hog, isn't she?
Yes.
He's just
Hey, Bill asked.
Well played.
He's just fired up. I don't blame him. Like, look, not everybody can celebrate landing an Andy Dalton, but Patrick can celebrate his team landing some big free agents.
Oh,
Did you say
just coming out firing this morning. Bill even said that when you could see it on the video stream. Like, oh boy, I might cross the line on that one. You can check us out on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, up and rolling on the station handle on Twitter as well. We see KT, Chris, Travis, Craig all up on the Facebook Live to start this morning. 803-404-6100. My favorite text of the morning from the Cocky Codger says, my wife was howling laughing yesterday and agreed with y'all that I was in a mood. Bill, I'm about to turn 50 years old, and I'm an old school fan, I guess. Talking about the men's basketball program. I think you guys were getting into it a little bit yesterday. He says, go Cox. The Cocky Codger, a.k.a., quote, wet blanket. He gives a smile. That's a good
Probably
way to start.
unhappy with what we just talked about then, because the first text that was salty was no one gives a tick on a tortoise about the men's tournament. Stick to women's hoops.
It happens. So Gene following up his big carry is happy this morning with mean carrot has now shown up. Yeah, I don't think you can get any more meaner carrot than going after 101-year-old Sister Jean, her Loyola Chicago team.
Can anyone name a player in Loyola Chicago?
No.
Exactly.
Not even close.
Why does that matter?
Everyone knows Sister Jean.
Sure.
Nobody knows
I love
Cam.
the line.
Nobody knows Cam Crutwig, but everyone knows Sister Jean.
But the players know Sister Jean.
Yeah.
How about this? Craig says, I've got LSU in the Final Four. I'm interested in hearing if you've got a team like that, please let me know, and I would love to hear a rationalization. LSU is athletic, no doubt about it, but man, there's a reason they ended up with an 8 seed, I think, ultra talented. We saw the Gamecocks go to Baton Rouge this year and lead for 33 and a half minutes or whatever it was. That's a bold play in your bracket, sir. Good luck with
St.
LSU.
Bonaventure's actually a good team too.
Right, so getting out of the first round will be an effort, but sometimes that's all it takes for some of these teams to go on that epic run. You get a close game in that first round, and then you can make it happen for sure. 803-404-6100. Again, the number to get in the program. You can call or text here. You're listening to the early game. We're just getting started here on 107.5 The Game.
It's a new year. They're hungry, they're driven, in a new attitude. I want guys that want to be here, not just going out there to hire some guy that has a famous last name.
It's not Shamuri Treads.
Morning, TJ.
I think we're ready to prove to people that we can do some special things here.
New attitude.
I do
Wow,
believe that
coming in
things always
optimistic.
Welcome home.
Craig says they have 4 pros. Don't disagree with you on that, Craig.
I don't think Javonte Smart's a pro.
The home of the Gamecocks.
I think he's a good college player.
Certain things in your home you need to work properly. You can't have confusion or questions or have not working because it can make it very inconvenient for you and your family. Your heating and air unit is one of those things, whether it's winter in South Carolina where you want the heat going, or whether it's one of those wonderful summers with the humidity where you need the air conditioner running. You need your heating and air unit working. And I need mine because I quite frankly don't know anything about it. That's why I trust someone that's like family. AAA Heating and Air. Roy and Dana, the entire family, they take care of me like I'm a part of the family. And that's important to me, the way that I'm treated, the way they talk to me, the way they explain things, the way that they come out and fix something when it's needed. Because when your heating and air unit isn't working, you're going to be pretty miserable. The family's going to be pretty miserable. You don't want that going on. And right now, AAA Heating and Air is preparing you for the summer. If you've got a questionable heating and air unit, they'll pay you $1,500 to buy back your old unit, plus give you 0% financing with no money down. You can get payments as low as $59 a month on a brand new heating and air unit. They want to take care of you. They want to treat you like family. That's why when I have an issue, I go to AAA Heating and Air. Give them a phone call today, 803-677-1500. That phone number again, 803-677-1500. We've all survived a Columbia summer. It's hot, it's humid. If your air conditioner's not working, you're miserable. The family's miserable. People look at you and the family and say, "What's going on, Dad? Get it fixed." No, don't allow that to happen. Go to someone who's going to treat you like family, who's going to make sure that you're taken care of, and they're not going to cost you an arm and a leg. AAA Heating and Air, 803-677-1500. Give AAA Heating and Air a call today. Get that heating and air unit looked at and ready for the summer, and tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Clear.
All right. When is this bad weather supposed to roll in here? My dad freaked out, and I thought it was supposed to be here. I feel like I should be looking at an apocalypse outside. No school for the kids. They canceled school.
I bet we could listen to Jen right now. She could tell us.
Yep. Everybody got their phone calls yesterday from Mary Beth Hill telling us that the kids are out of school today in anticipation of bad weather.
Chris, salty Cowboys fan, says spending a lot of money to go 8-8. Actually, we're not, because we still have top 10 most cap space left in the NFL. We're not spending a lot of money at all. You know who's spending a lot of money to go 8-8? Dallas Cowboys.
That's right. You tell it.
Spending a lot of money to still have the worst defense in the National Football League.
Craig says 11 o'clock. KT
11.
says the bad weather starting in Knoxville right now.
Yeah, I gotta
I
go.
know weather works.
I gotta go pick up my dad and take him to a little procedure this morning. And then take him home. Get him home.
Can our weather start in Knoxville?
Well, it's a system that moves
Yeah.
through
How far do they move?
across the country.
Where the winds will take them.
Some move across the ocean. They're referred to as hurricanes.
I know. I was gonna say, don't they start from water?
No, I think some start out over land and form and then run into other ones. I don't know. Have you ever seen the movie Twister?
Yeah, but
That's a great movie.
my mom.
It
liked
really
that
is a
movie,
great
so does
movie.
the
It's
little
one of my
kid.
top 5 all-time movies.
It's what they say on the first day of meteorology school.
Are we getting a twister? We're not getting a twister, right?
They
There's
say that some
potential today.
tornadoes could happen today. I don't know.
Yeah.
Really?
I'm serious. Kids are out of school. Like a bunch of school districts just went ahead and preemptively closed school today. E-learning day. It makes you wonder if doing the e-learning the last year that they realized that it's easy enough that if something severe is coming along, because I was shocked that they went ahead and canceled so early yesterday. That they've just decided that it's easy enough now that if you've got a situation like this and in this state, the way we treat potential of snow, that if they'll just go ahead and start doing that for the foreseeable future, just because now you can do an e-learning day and not really lose a day.
I don't know.
That's right, Jonathan. Top 5. If Twister's on TBS, I'm stopping.
Amen to that. I do think that'll get too easy, and that's not easy on parents. So I don't think that's smart to start, just, it looks like, we get a bad storm today. So
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't ever remember them preemptively postponing or canceling school. Canceling school because of a storm. And maybe it really is going to be really bad. I don't know.
well, and no offense to the meteorologists around here, but we have a lot of hype and not a lot of storms. I wouldn't want this to be the one day that we're wrong about that, but
So that you're saying the weather around here is a lot like South Carolina basketball. A lot of hype in the preseason, only to not get anything, huh?
there you go. Well, I'm not gonna say that because I don't want Storm Frank coming down on me. So
Thanks, James. Very, very polite of you. Even lower than Sports Talk Radio.
I'm trying to figure out if Twister's even a top 5 natural disaster movie.
Wow. I don't even know what else I would put in there.
Oh, Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what Day After Tomorrow is number 1. Perfect
Day
Storm. Perfect Storm.
Yeah, I didn't like Perfect Storm. 2012 with
Yeah.
John Cusack and
Joe Cusack. Yeah, it's a good one. Everest. Everest is a great movie.
Is that about a natural disaster?
Yeah, there's like a little thing that happens and they all get stuck in Everest and most of them don't make it down.
But that's just Everest, isn't it?
yeah, I was gonna say I don't feel like that qualifies.
No, I think there was an issue. I think there was an issue in that movie.
Well, there are always issues there.
Sharknado.
You guys
Yeah,
see?
that's it. There you go.
Oh, you guys see White Squall? I remember watching that one time. I thought it was pretty good.
Wow.
Pretty sure that's a thing I didn't make up.
Can we come up with 5 natural disaster movies? We got 2012, Day After Tomorrow.
Wizard of Oz.
Good one.
There's an old one. There's an old one that used to come on TBS. I mean, it's like from the late 70s about a volcano out in Hawaii. I remember my dad liked it. He would make me watch it.
Sure, Joe versus Volcano.
That's what I was gonna say.
No, not Joe
70s,
versus
but-
the volcano.
Poseidon. This Poseidon Adventure, is that what it is?
Yeah, Rogue Wave knocks out the old
Don, well
cruise
done.
ship. Yeah.
Perfect Storm. Chris is all in on.
We're getting ready to head back in.
Jon Snow was in Pompeii. That movie stunk though.
Pompeii is a
Volcano
that
movie.
would qualify as a natural disaster movie.
Yeah, it was horrendous though. That movie's.
So the movie itself was a disaster.
Yeah, it was right in the middle of the Game of Thrones craze, and they were just like, "We can put Kit Harington in anything, and it'll be good." And
Isn't that when HBO did that really? I thought it was awful. That mockumentary on the greatest match ever played. Him and
yeah, I didn't think it was funny either. Andy Samberg.
yeah.
A lot of people liked it though. I'm with you though. I didn't.
I didn't think it.
Right. You guys are up.
Video stream sponsored by Buford Lending. The conversation during the break somehow got to, and not somehow. I understand how it got there with some bad weather expected to roll into the area. And Bill dropping Twister being one of his top 5 movies all time. Great line, Patrick. Tell everybody what you just said about the top 5.
Oh, I said I was trying to figure out if it's even a top 5 natural disaster movie of all time.
I think
I
we
think-
answered that definitively.
Yeah, I think I was right.
You know
I
what I
don't think we
figured
came up
out?
with. We didn't come up with
During that
5 natural
conversation-
disaster movies to begin with.
I figured out that natural disaster movies to me are like sports movies. It's hard to pull off. And like when you have so much reality, I think it's hard to pull something like that off because that's the thing. All these things look fake, right? You guys are what were you talking about? What's some of the worst natural disaster movies? Isn't there a movie just called Volcano, I think? You said Pompeii, I think was one that you just
Yeah.
watched.
Oh,
San Andreas
Craig
might be
is
the
a
one
good
I'm
one.
thinking of.
Bad movie.
Done, Craig.
Just
Because when we see anything like try to be, I don't know, put on movie film that we've seen in real life that just is so much. It looks so fake. It's how I watch sports movies. Like this is so fake. You totally took me out of the whole thing. I think they're pretty similar now that I think about it. But yeah, I think Bill, you're still in the top 5 natural disaster movies with Twister. You're safely
For
in
sure.
there, even though Patrick doesn't want you to be. He can't roll off 5 more right now and knock Twister out.
we've
Maybe
got
2.
Perfect Storm, 2012, Day After Tomorrow. What else do we put in there? Can we
Yeah.
count? Can we count like? Can I count Armageddon? That was a disaster.
That wasn't a natural disaster, just a natural disaster, was it?
It was natural. It was naturally occurring.
The end of the world versus a natural disaster. I think that's taking it over the top. I think that's an end of the world movie.
Looks like we've got When Time Ran Out with Paul Newman.
I have not
Dante's
seen that.
Peak, another Was it
Yeah.
Dante's Inferno? Wasn't that one too? All kinds
Yeah.
of natural disaster movies. John, I don't think Clash of the Titans would count as a natural disaster
No.
movie. I didn't even know this was a category until you guys started talking about it. Apparently it is. We'll table that discussion. We'll continue it as we roll on. Have you guys seen the latest with Tennessee football? Not that it's a nearly as massive a deal this time of year as it is during the fall, but Tennessee football announcing yesterday it is paused. And they're looks like they're about on the same schedule as the Gamecocks, set to start spring practice in about a week or so. Dealing with multiple positive COVID tests among players and staff is the word, and less than a week away before scheduled to kick off spring practice. It reminds me that that's exactly what the Gamecocks are doing later today. 1 o'clock, Shane Beamer will be meeting with the media. We'll have that for you here on 107.5 The Game, discussing what's about to go down or maybe what has gone down since he's taken over. It's been a little bit more than 100 days, I think, for Shane Beamer in charge of Gamecock football, believe it or not. And I saw the sentiment yesterday on social media that don't want to see any kind of off-season workout videos, just want to see wins. And I feel like it is a unique spot that Shane Beamer finds himself in, because he is naturally a positive, upbeat guy. But where Gamecock fans are after the Will Muschamp era, I think it would be a mistake, and Shane understands you can't just go out and sell optimism completely and do that to kind of to deaf ears or to a fan base that is a little bit jaded, I think, at this point, having seen or heard promise of a really talented and deep roster a couple of years ago, and that's when the Will Muschamp era started to go the wrong way, and then 2-8 last year. Bill, what kind of message do you feel like Shane Beamer is going to present to us today, and then some of the storylines in spring football for this team specifically that has, on paper, a lot to prove after last year's disappointing 2-8 season?
I think that he sells today kind of just the vision for the spring, and again, optimism. This program is beaten down. The fan base is beaten down, and you're right. There's going to be people that just flat say, "I don't want to see the videos." And look, I get it. The videos don't get you one victory from September to December, but this is a program and a fan base that is just beaten down. And the way Muschamp ran certain aspects of it, it alienated the fan base. And so while that may be the sentiment of a few that they don't want to see the videos, I don't think that's the sentiment of the majority. I think that people right now kind of want to have some positive vibes, some positive momentum. They want to feel attached to the football program again. I think it's a little bit of a shame, just given that we're still going to be under some certain rules and protocols here as we go through the spring, because I think Shane Beamer would open up some Saturday practices to fans to allow them to re-engage with players and to allow them just to kind of come around the program. You're going to see some of that, I think, with some media obligations for players and for assistant coaches speaking, although it does look like that each assistant coach will speak once this spring, so not too different from the Will Muschamp era. But I think that that's still part of the selling point. And I don't think Shane Beamer is naive enough or doesn't know what he stepped into to realize there's got to be a mending of the fence a little bit between the fan base and the football program. It's not going to take much. This fan base will come running back with open arms, but you've got to give them something to run to. And we'll see if that gets sold today. Again, I think the one thing with Shane Beamer is going to be a lot of positive vibes, a lot of positive momentum. The big question will be when you do get some adversity, whether it's against Georgia in week 3 or Eastern Illinois at halftime of week 1, how do they respond then? But until then, until that adversity arrives, I think it's all positive vibes and good feelings.
But my question is, and Patrick, you're as good at doing this as anybody. I understand selling that. It's just the receiving part I'm interested in from the Gamecock football perspective. Like, where is the capacity right now for you, Patrick? You and Bill were kind of on the same page during this last football season. If Will Muschamp was ever talking positively, yeah, I don't want to hear it. You just want to see it. We want to see results, right? At some point, the talk fell on deaf ears, and there was just nothing that anyone could say associated with Gamecock football. They had to prove it. They had to show it on the field. And that's the situation that Shane Beamer inherits. Unfortunately for Beamer and company, Bill, like you mentioned, there's not a whole lot to me that you can show during spring football that is going to satisfy a fan base that has gone through this de-evolution, if you will, or gone through this process, in my opinion. Patrick, where are you on this with spring football for the Gamecock?
Well, yeah, and also, I mean, I don't have necessarily high expectations for the fall either. Like, I'm invested in this as a process, a multi-year process. So, I mean, I will say also, we were getting fed up with Will Muschamp last year. For me, that pretty much started the day after the North Carolina game.
Sure.
And from there on out, I didn't want to hear anything, essentially, because, I mean, I give you the benefit of the doubt. I give any coach the benefit of the doubt when they come in, and for everything I've seen, the culture here looks great, and all the guys are balled in. All the coaches are having a great time. They're motivated, and they're working hard. So, I mean, until we have a couple brutal years, or they come in saying buy a ticket and hyping up one particular game, and I mean, talking a bigger game than they can actually handle, then that's fine. I mean, I'm not in the camp of let's stop posting these videos and wait until we actually prove something on the field. Like, it's a new coaching staff, it's a new regime. They got to get people excited.
But what Patrick just said right there, Bill, I think is part of the sticky situation, the difficult position anyone associated with Gamecock football finds themselves in, because I think everybody knows it's going to be a process, and yet you can't sell that, right? Or if you sell that, you have to do it in a really savvy way without sounding like, hey, don't expect much early on, or the winning isn't going to come right away, or you shouldn't expect to win, because fans certainly don't want to hear that either.
I actually think there is such a fascination of this football staff because of the little clip that we play on here when we're going to break or coming back, where it's Marcus Sadical saying we're not a bunch of retreads. Like, if it was Mike Bobo still here as offensive coordinator, because you saw and you know what he was going to do, or what you think he was going to do, just because you'd seen it with your own two eyes, maybe there's less excitement. Does that make sense? Because there's not a sense of newness to it. Like, I mean, I'm with Patrick. It's not that I'm expecting 9 wins next year. 6-6 would be really good, in my opinion. 7 wins would be a very, very good year for South Carolina. But I have no clue what to expect, and I feel like I feel like a lot of the fan base is there with me from that aspect of, like, I look at Clayton White's defense. I don't really know what to expect. And I'll say this, there are players on that defense that are highly recruited and highly rated, that I think the defense could actually be better than whatever it was we were witnessing at the end of last year. So it's kind of like, I don't know what Clayton White's going to – what's he going to do with Jordan Burch? Jordan Burch is one of the highest rated signees ever at South Carolina. Like, is Jimmy Lindsey at defensive line going to turn Jordan Burch into some incredible thing with Jimmy Lindsey, this incredible under the radar defensive line coach hire that's going to end up being, a boom or a bust? There's so much about this staff that we don't know that I think makes it even more intriguing, or maybe you're willing to take that step and believe and say, yep, you know what, it might not be pretty right off the bat, but kind of like Patrick saying, until they prove otherwise, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
That's where I'm with you on Mike Bobo, but I'm not on the excitement part. I don't think people would be less excited right now if Mike Bobo was still the offensive coordinator, because you would have looked at last year and said, man, this Kevin Harris is only going to get better this year. I mean, I
don't know, man.
He might run for 4,000 yards this year. Like, you'd be hyping that thing up like crazy. But once you're into the season and it's not going well, you'll be willing to not necessarily excuse more stagnant offense, but make excuses and accept it. And be confident that it will change. Mike Bobo, you know what you're going to get.
I agree, and that's what we said during December when Bobo was going to be the offensive coordinator, and I felt like we got a lot of pushback on that. You guys agree? Like I don't feel like it was universally accepted. Like, okay, Mike Bobo, this offense. Like there was a lot of people who thought Bobo's offense was just flat out bad last year, despite what you said about Kevin Harris rushing for 1,000 yards, and we would say,
yeah, but we'll always talk ourselves into it. We'll say, look what happened. As soon as Muschamp got fired, Bobo got to put the quarterback he actually wanted in, and that would be our spin all year. And we'd say, this is going to be so much different when he's got a dual threat quarterback, and now like we'd always talk ourselves into it. The excitement will always be there.
Yeah.
I think we have a great analogy from Craig. I don't know if I've ever said that about one of Craig's comments, but I'm doing it now. He hits us up on the Facebook live stream. This season of Gamecock football, like going on a blind date. I think
But you stalked her. But you stalked her on Facebook, and she's really
blind
hot.
dates. Love blind dates.
Oh, I can't wait to hear some stories coming out
No,
of
I
this.
mean it's just like
Not the second, Bill. Hold on. We'll come back. We'll do it. You guys got some blind date stories. I want to hear them. 803-404-6100. I think he's right, by the way. I think Craig nailed that one. It's a great analogy. I agree with that analogy with Shane Beamer and Gamecock football right now. I'm going to steal it as my own, Craig. Thank you. It's the early game. It's 107.5 to get.
Guys, and new head football coach, Shane Beamer. On Fox Sports, and we're going to get started day one, advancing this program and making it better. 107.5 The Game. I know it's cliche, but it's the truth. Welcome, coach.
Oh, big weekend ahead. College basketball, going to be watching some of that. Probably going to need a good sleep tonight to gear up for all the basketball that will take place. Thank goodness for the sleep number bed. I'm going to get that. I get a great night of sleep each and every night, though. Put the sleep number setting on 60. Wake up rested, refreshed, ready to handle a sports talk morning show. You can do the same. Just you don't have to be ready to handle a sports talk morning show. You can handle your life. Right now, the new Sleep Number 360 smart bed is available, and it's designed to make a life-changing difference to your health and wellness, and you can do it for $999, but it's only at a Sleep Number store. Good news, 2 to choose from, one in Irmo and Harbison Boulevard, the other in Columbia, 2 Knots Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can visit them on the web, sleepnumber.com. The new Sleep Number 360 smart bed. You need a great night of sleep. It's important to your health. It's important to the next day and mentally being able to deal with some of the things you've got to deal with, whether it's the kids, whether it's coworkers, whether it's your significant other. Trust me, you need a great night of sleep. I get one in a Sleep Number bed each and every night. Wake up rested, refreshed, ready to go. So right now, check out the new Sleep Number 360 smart bed designed to make life-changing differences to your health and wellness, and you can do it again for $999. Make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night's sleep is truly like. Patrick, I'll text you later my picks for the NASCAR segment. I don't know if you want to hype it up. I had a dream about who won last night. That's who my pick's going to be.
You're now dreaming NASCAR, huh?
I'm seeing the future.
Wow. Craig, if you would have played in the station golf tournament, maybe I would consider PayPal. But you bailed on us, and you haven't.
Somebody had a lot of free time on the text line. That somebody sent in a very long text.
Oh, yeah? Is that Todd?
Yes. That's a lot of texting. I tried to read it, but
Yeah, that's what Todd does. You got to understand he's coming at it from the Alabama perspective. He's the Alabama fan, so he's got a lot to say about football these days.
Yeah, I didn't even consider reading that text. The thought actually didn't cross my mind.
So rude.
How many periods are in that?
I don't think there's any.
Sure.
The other
The answer is zero. The answer is zero, punctuation.
You're exactly right on that.
Yep. Not just periods, punctuation.
Yeah, there's no punctuation.
Not
Actually, there is an apostrophe in don't.
I'm and don't. Oh, there's a dash between hush hush.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So the ability's there. I think this is just a a clear choice Todd has made in his texting life that he's just not going to worry about sentences. Figure it out.
We got I'm gonna stick around till the end of the first break in the 7 o'clock hour. That'll give me time. I'm gonna get changed here at the top of the hour, but that way I'll do one more segment with y'all after this, and then get out of here.
You just have the 2 breaks in the next hour, so we can go a little longer.
Yeah, if we go to 7, as long as I'm ready to go, I'll bounce out the door and get up to Prosperity.
What time you want to get out then?
If you're out by 7:20ish, same time we normally do.
Yeah, on time.
Yeah.
Perfect.
136 words in that text message with no punctuation.
Whoa, did you count that yourself, or could you highlight and it did it for you?
No. Yeah, I highlighted and put it in Microsoft Word.
Gotcha. I was gonna say.
Using technology to your advantage.
I kind of agree with Scott, and I'm a text message person. Or Laura. I agree with Scott or Laura, whichever one's watching this morning.
Couldn't Scott have done the first text to us and then Laura did the second one? I
Laura,
didn't see any typos. You're good.
you think they're riding together? And he said the first one was like, and handed her the phone, was like,
Got to finish my thought.
yeah.
That's the agreement they've come up to, one text at a time. Both of our names are on this thing. Come on, only one text at a time.
Facebook, man, you got a shared Facebook page.
I admire they at least put both names in there.
Well, that's because that's their shared Facebook page.
I got it. But we all know Facebook accounts or social media accounts that only have one name on it, and clearly the other person is taking it over.
The significant other's taking it over.
Attaboy, Scott. That is part of being a real man in the 21st century.
You really did. Well, yeah.
The question is, did you meet Laura on a blind date?
Oh,
I don't have any great stories. Like, I mean, there's nothing like my dad told me a long time ago where he showed up and he took one look at the person he was supposed to meet. He figured out which one it was and just turned around and walked out of the restaurant. Like,
nice.
Brutal.
We're about to head back in.
I don't have anything like that. I enjoyed them, man. I had a strategy.
Oh, no.
Chips and salsa. Mexican restaurant.
That's right.
It's not quite accurate. Shane Beamer and Gamecock football, the analogy that Craig hit us up with, this season's like going on a blind date, but it's not too far off. Isn't this like dating someone you had a couple of classes with, maybe? And you don't really know them. We don't know what Shane Beamer is going to be as a head coach, but we do know him a little bit. Is that a more fair comparison, Bill? Not completely blind.
I feel, yeah, I don't know. It's a good. You gotta let me really break this down and think about it for a minute about how you would analyze it, because like it's like Beamer comes from a good family. You're expecting good things, but maybe there's an issue with the credit. Maybe they have trouble handling money. Maybe there's some underlying issues there.
So this is a setup date then, right? That your friends are setting you up then, right? If you're saying it's from a good family and somebody's putting you together,
it's kind of like a lifelong. It's like a lifelong. What is it? Not a family friend, but like you've known the family for a long time. You've grown up with the family. You've taken vacations with the family.
But then there's complications and
well, there is complications.
Expectations.
Shane Beamer's coach.
You would know what to expect if you were vacationing with
Shane
her and
Beamer's
your
coach.
family
No,
all the
you
time.
don't. Then they go off. They go off into life. They go to college and they start a career. You don't know what's going on. You're not 100%.
I don't know. I think Tim nailed it with you're watching her from across the classroom all year. You wanted to build up the strength to ask her out, and then you finally do, and it turns out that she's maybe not that exciting. Like that would be that would be the worst case scenario.
You've already gotten a conclusion? What if she turns out to be the greatest thing ever You're
Yeah.
married for 50 years.
So I'm saying the
you have-
point is, you're going in. It's not a fully blind date because
That's
blind date, you
right.
have no idea what to expect. Your
That's my
expectations are pretty high going into the date with the girl that you've been coveting for a long time.
Wait, this is turned.
Wow.
Took a weird turn.
I guess
Wait.
all I'm picturing is the guy who on the movie Grown Ups, they're admiring him across the
Oh, yeah.
and he's all built.
Hey, ladies!
And when he comes over, his voice is like,
Wow.
he's been on steroids for
Well,
a long time.
What was that voice again?
Mickey Mouse just arrived on the
please.
program.
No, he comes. He's like absolutely yoked. Looks like he's a middle linebacker, and
Yeah.
then there's the squeaky voice.
So it should have your voice, but has Jen's instead. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
Exactly.
it's a good scene. Gross, underrated movie.
It very much.
Oh, I gotta read this one to end hour number one. Probably not for air. Travis starts, so I gotta go there. Had a blind date in college. Went to the girl's house where she lived with some family members. As we're leaving, some lady comes in saying they found
Oh,
him. I was like,
that's
"What's going on?" Oh no, that's terrible. We can't read that on the air. You're right, Travis. Oh,
Wow, I can't believe. Way to go, Tommy Moody. That was a Tommy Moody moment. Just read something without pre-reading.
hour two coming up.
Fair.
Yeah, I read
Never a blind date again. No
Started-
kidding.
Yeah.
I get the worst one I ever had, and y'all might like this because it involves a movie. Is a girl invited me out to her house, and this was in college, and we watched A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, and
Uh-huh.
it was awful. Worst
No, it's
movie
not.
I've ever seen.
No, you're simple-minded.
Hated it. Especially when halfway through it turned out he was just going crazy and none of the stuff with I think the Germans were happening. Like, oh, I was so we get to the end of the date. We get to the end of the date or the end of the movie, and I'm like, all right, here comes the decent stuff. And she turns and looks at me like, so I need to tell you, I'm talking to another guy as well, and it's either you or him. And I was like, you know what? I'll make the decision easy for you. I'm out of here. There's no competition here. He's got you. It's good. You just made me watch a really bad movie.
Well, if I watched a Beautiful Mind with a girl and she said she didn't like it, I would have sent her home anyway and told her that's it. I'm not talking to you again.
Wow. I never saw the movie, so I guess I didn't have. a
Don't
chance
watch
to
it.
date
I'm going to
first.
change. I'll be back. I'm going to change.
It's a great movie, Jen. A great movie.
It's not a great movie.
Didn't it win the Academy Award for Best
Yeah.
Film?
Yeah, it was a Best Picture winner. Yeah, it's an amazing movie. It's a true story.
See, if it is just too serious, if it looks like it could make you cry, or if it's
That one's in my DVD collection.
The coveted DVD collection. That's pretty good, KT. Much better than Travis's. No, you didn't say it's not for air. You said probably not for air, Travis. I can't trust you anymore. Agreed, Raj. Beautiful Mind was unreal. So that's one of those movies, though, Jen. If you're going to sit down and watch it, you have to understand it's going to be involved. You have to emotionally and mentally invest. Otherwise, you're going to come away like Bill and say, "Oh, terrible."
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's more of a warning that you have to give, that I have to give to my friends. Like, hey, please just don't scroll through Twitter and be texting while you watch this movie the whole time because you're not going to understand what's going on.
is it going to make you sad?
Some parts. No, I mean, I don't think you're going to cry. I don't think it's that.
I think once I went and saw the movie Stepmom, I'm scarred because that was so sad, and there were fun part, and it scarred. I don't
I
want
haven't seen that. Let me get my DVD case.
escape, and laugh. That's why movies like Coming to America and Arthur and Tommy Boy and Austin Powers, that's about as I go,
Yeah, you made the right call then, not watching A Beautiful Mind.
Okay.
You're good.
I'm
You're
trying to see what my number one movie that I own that is a cry movie.
I'm not deep like that. Give me some Hallmark Christmas movies. Life's good.
That's quite the comment from Demetrius. Can't be worser than Freddy versus Jason.
I did watch those, but those are more like dares in school.
Oh, Good Will Hunting, I cry.
Oops.
What part? It's not your fault?
Yeah, they're not your fault. Also, Forrest Gump has some moments.
I watched it once. It was
Forrest
good.
Gump?
That's enough.
Forrest Gump to me is one of those rare movies where you can be flipping the channels and come to a part, and I was like, I don't remember this part, and then I get back in for like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
To me, it was like
This is-
3 different movies in one movie, like all kinds of different tones there.
That's a really good analogy.
I have a whole page of tearjerker movies. Dead Poet Society is definitely.
What are you
Oh,
just
tough.
going Robin Williams movies for us?
Well, this is my like sad my
Robin
drama
Williams
page. Castaway. When he loses
Ugh.
Wilson, I cry.
Yuck.
It's a good one.
Dallas Buyers Club, of course.
I don't think I ever saw that one.
Good movie, but it is quite heavy.
Leslie, she's in on Stepmom as well, Jen. Starts out happy and then a gut punch you
Right.
don't see coming.
Yeah. I'm so angry.
Who was in that one?
Julia Roberts and it's gonna hit me. Redhead. Very famous. Oh my gosh.
Not Gina Davis, is it?
Older. Oh, help me.
I'll look it up.
She's in Friends. Been in a lot of movies.
Susan Sarandon.
Thank you. I knew it was an S. Not
Susan Sarandon's a redhead? Never would have gone with that.
kinda.
Not in Bull Durham.
She more brown in that one. Yeah, no, in some to me she's more Auburn, I guess.
So y'all realize a year ago, Monday, this past Monday, was the year anniversary of Tim not being in studio, and then I was out the next day. It's now been 1 year. It was a year ago this week. I just say that because I realized as I was upstairs getting dressed, you guys have really missed out. I'm up to 12 watches now.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Bought a green one for St. Patrick's Day last week.
So
Gorgeous.
basically now you need a 13th watch, and then on that one you need a picture at each increment. Needs to be a picture of one of your other watches.
It's a good idea.
Great call in Pursuit of Happiness. Great call
Yeah.
in Pursuit of Happiness.
What is Fences? I've never even heard of Fences.
It's pretty new. Denzel Washington. It probably came out in 2019 or 18 or something like that.
Any good?
I haven't seen it.
What? You haven't seen it? Interesting, Chris.
About to head back in.
Ooh. Click. That click in the case too. That's sad. That is sad moments. That one's a roller coaster.
Grown-ups, guys. Grown-ups. Guys, Rip.
Billy, Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100 gets us going here in hour number 2. Watching you guys on YouTube for the first time. He hit us up about 20 minutes ago, and then it's just a stream of consciousness since then. Calm down, Carrot. We don't know what to expect. This is a whole new staff and scheme. It's like a big mystery. Then he mentions he's never saw the movie Beautiful Mind either and cried when Doc Holliday died in Tombstone. And yes, Susan Sarandon is a redhead. Thank you, Billy, for all those comments. That pretty much sums up what we've been discussing this morning. Craig was the one who originally brought it up, that he thinks this season for Gamecock football is going to be like going on a blind date. Don't quite know what you're going to get. Another texter just hit us up, said he's been on all ends, both ends of the spectrum for the blind date. Went on a blind date, went absolutely horrid, he says in all caps with horrid. Spells it correctly, well done. 6 months later, says I go on another blind date and ended up marrying the woman. It's an interesting way to put it, marrying the woman. My parents actually met on a blind date, and they're going on, 45 years at this point? So it does work out well, and it does. Bill, you said you had a specific strategy with the blind date.
Yeah, you got to keep it light. You got to keep it loose. You can't go in. You can't go in and
Strategy for radio show would be to turn your mic on.
Yeah, let's just do that one. All right.
Well, Mike is on.
He's just pointing fingers at Jen.
That
we
was,
got
that was yeah. Yeah, I was.
I
finished.
I think that might have been an editorial decision. Well done, Jen.
But yeah, you got to keep it light. You got to keep it loose. You don't want to put anybody on it. We talked about this. It was off air. We were just talking about how it was a year ago.
Well, we talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it early on, and I think everyone was against your advice from the jump.
Yeah, well, still feel pretty good again about
You
mine.
said,
About
I think you said that dinner is a terrible first date.
yeah, you can't put each other in a bad spot early in a nice quiet dinner. You got to go somewhere Mexican restaurants, chips and salsa, because I don't think girls want to show up and eat and like roll through a steak or something early on. I didn't want to eat.
You don't order for them.
Whatever they want.
That's the. I mean, that's
Sometimes you do. You
probably
just
the
get
worst
right in
thing
there and be like,
you
"Have
possibly
a
do,
steak."
Yeah.
That would be an amazing first impression on a blind date, wouldn't it? Like within 2 minutes of meeting the person, they sit down, the server comes
I'm gonna
over.
order for you.
Hi, my name's
What's-
John. I'll be
Terry-
your server for the night. What can I get you guys? She starts to speak up, and then you just cut her off completely.
That's
You
a
actually
movie.
lean over the table. The lady will be having
That's in
wine.
White Chicks with Terry Crews. He says, "And for the lady, perhaps a salad." And she goes, "Perhaps not."
All right. Chips and salsa was always the easy. Chips and salsa, and then Mexican food was always the easiest thing to start on a.
Well,
On a
I
blind
think
date.
when we had this conversation the first time, I said dinner, and you said movie, and I said, "But you can't talk at a
No.
movie." And you said, "Well, you don't want to have all that conversation on the first date." It's like,
No, I didn't say movie. Trust me, I don't. We should all know that I didn't say movie because I'm not a. I haven't even been to a theater in a long time. But no, I definitely didn't say movie. I think I'm more of a just keep it light and loose kind of person, and to keep your options open for a quick getaway if the conversation goes downhill.
So this is all coming out of a conversation based off of Tennessee football recently had to shut down. They announced it yesterday. They have COVID issues, and they're starting spring football about the same time the Gamecocks are getting things going here within the next week. Obviously, that plan might need to be adjusted for Tennessee football. But just the feel around Gamecock football right now, and we're going to hear from Gamecock head coach Shane Beamer later today, 1 o'clock press conference or Zoom call scheduled to talk about the start of spring football. And it's how are you ingesting information right now is kind of the question, and where are you at from an expectation standpoint? I know some people out there are seeing the off-season workout videos, and some say I don't even want to see it right now, kind of I think scarred still from the Will Muschamp era, or maybe just talk, not marrying with results on the field. And the Cocky Codger hits us up on the text line. He admitted earlier in the show that he was in a mood yesterday. He says he's about to turn 50. I think that's what he's blaming it on. But he says talk to his 15-year-old about the hype videos. His 15-year-old, he says, loves them, thinks they are important to his generation more than mine. And we had somebody else weighing in talking about how they're for recruits more. To me, it's a combination, Bill, of it's for recruits for sure, but it's also for your fan base, I think, just to give them a look into the program and to keep some optimism or excitement going. And that's the tricky part, I think, about the situation or the place that Shane Beamer finds himself in going into his press conference today. That you certainly, I mean, just naturally, he's an optimistic, positive, energetic kind of guy. That's who he is. You got to be yourself. But you also have to understand where the program is. And, Will Muschamp, I thought, did a pretty good job of that coming into a bad situation at the end of the C. Spurrier era, and mentioning that the Gamecocks just kind of all were at that time what the record was the last season, and you don't set wild expectations. And the first couple of years was about as good as I think you could have asked for as a Gamecock fan at that time. I'm interested to see how Shane Beamer continues to handle it. I think he's done a good job so far, but you're right with this pretty much unknown staff. And that is a big difference, not having Mike Boba as the offensive coordinator and bringing in Marcus Satterfield, who hasn't done it at this level, bringing in Clayton White, who has the track record at Western Kentucky, but not in the SEC. I think there is a lot of unknowns, and that's where that blind date analogy came from, and kind of fits in a lot of ways from Craig. So what do you think, again, we're going to what do you think is going to be the tone, I guess, of this entire offseason outside of new? Where's the tone that we're going to get, the kind of the narrative from the Gamecock coaching staff led by Shane Beamer and his conversation starting it today?
Well, I just think they're promising competitiveness. And I saw him do an interview recently, I think it was with the Big Spur, and read about it, where he talked about that they want to be known for competition. And I think that's what you're trying to get. And I can't speak for the players, and I don't think no players are going to speak today, to my knowledge, or I haven't seen that. I think they'll speak starting Saturday, I think. And with that being said, what I think is that you're not going to get players talking about the differences between the previous regime and the current staff, but you do wonder how beaten down they might have been. I'm just looking about it. Players will be available next Monday. Let's see here. I'm looking at the quick link sent by Steve Fink. And so all I'm seeing here is defensive players will be available Monday, March 22nd, and offensive players next Friday, March 26th. So not tomorrow, but next Friday, the 26th. So the first time you'll hear from players. And we haven't really heard from players. This is something kind of interesting, right? Am I wrong on this? We haven't heard from players since Shane Beamer's been hired. We've heard from Beamer, we've heard from assistant coaches, so I don't think we've heard from players at all. So, hearing from them and maybe getting the message that they've received from the coaching staff, maybe it'll be a little bit more interesting than hearing from the coaching staff themselves. But again, I think it's everything is going to be positive. There's not a lot of adversity in that locker room right now. Everybody's getting the same amount of snaps. Everybody's 0-0 in the eyes of this coaching staff. Everybody is a potential starter. So it's a little bit different right now when there's no adversity and you have all the good vibes. So I think you're going to get that, and you're going to get a sense of competition is what Shane Beamer is going to promote as we listen to him today.
I guess my question will be, how far do you go with that? As a naturally optimistic, energetic kind of guy, I think you also have to know that you can't push too much at this point or take Gamecock fans too far down that road without setting maybe an unrealistic expectation, because last year's team won 2 games. Carolina's has 16 losses in the last 2 years combined. There is that roster as well. So I think that's the tricky part for Gamecock football at this point, and kind of the off-season build that will be. I mean, we always see it every year. And Patrick, you always call this out, I think, how we get a little bit tunnel visioned around here to Gamecock football specifically, and we don't probably compare this program to others, or what the program is, what the players and coaches in the program are saying to other programs, and understand that, everybody gets excited for football season every year to some degree. I think the off-season excitement in Columbia is higher typically than most other places, but it's then how do you live up to the expectation of the fan base, especially when there is so much new. And I think that's the really interesting part about this offseason, that it's not just a new head coach and a first-time head coach. There are new coaches throughout the program and new players in important positions, even with a guy like Luke Doty, who's coming back, that hadn't been in the program, but by and large kind of unproven to the fan base.
Well, I think you guys, both of you, would agree. What I've heard from Beamer right now is about what they're trying to create, not what they're going to be in terms of record. Or, even listening to Shane Beamer, he hasn't given much insight into what the offense or defense is going to be when he spoke. I think he's done a good job of creating excitement and talking about what he wants to create as far as a culture. But I haven't heard him go out of his way to talk about Steve Spurrier. You just said that Steve Spurrier and Will Muschamp both talked about what South Carolina was or is currently when they took over. I think it was Muschamp who kept saying, "I'm the coach of a 3-9 team." That's right. What we are. We want to be better, but Steve Spurrier, as you mentioned, it just said, "Hey, our goal is to win more than we lose and go to a bowl." I haven't heard Shane Beamer reference the past. I've heard him talk about what they want to be in the future, but he also hasn't gone out of his way to say, hey, we know that, we want to, he's not setting a bar and telling you, this is a pretty talented team. He's not saying, I think anything about his team, he needs to get a look at him first, too, in spring practice. And I feel like he's done a good job of kind of holding that back and not trying to promise anything about what the team is actually going to look like or be, especially this fall.
Yeah, I was going to say, when he talks about the past, he's talking about the past when he was here the first time. So, I mean, you've heard lots of references to that, but I don't think he needs to explain the state of the program right now. I mean, you just won 2 games, and everyone, the whole fan base was ready for a change. So, I mean, I don't think he needs to hammer home, like, hey, we were a good football team last year, and we got a lot of work to do. I think everyone kind of understands that, especially when you bring in as many transfers as you did and how much talent you're losing to the NFL, even when you were a bad team. So, yeah, I don't think he needs to beat that into the ground. It's pretty clear.
Thomas doesn't seem so optimistic at this point on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. This is like watching your friend decide to date a girl you know and have heard some nice things about as a person, but nobody has a clue how'd she do as a girlfriend. And yet somehow you already can know it's likely not a long-term thing between them. Little John, maybe
that just happened to Thomas,
optimistic.
like, very recently, because that was so specific and random, and I'm not sure it works at all. So that event definitely happened to Thomas, and one of his friends is going through it right now. Yeah,
he's projecting a little bit on us.
Yeah.
How about Little John? At least he understands. He gives us the real life example for him. Hey, good morning, guys. He says, my first blind date, we went to the state fair. We got some elephant ears, and she felt comfortable enough to absolutely destroy it. I knew I was in love then. We've been married almost 2 years now. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a great day. How about that from Little John? By the way, Bill, was that part of your test, your chips and salsa, to see if your date was comfortable enough to eat in front of you? That was always
No, because
a bit of a gauge for me.
felt like chips and salsa is just an easy thing to kind of snack on. You can just, if you break the chip, also it's a good little, breaking a chip is a good little like nervous habit. It kind of gives you something to, or the other person something, just kind of, Patrick's making a face. Look, man,
what are you talking about?
the chips and salsa, it's a very relaxing setting if you put somebody in that. It's
As you described it, I just picture someone nervously breaking chips.
Yeah, what are you
Not
talking
even
about?
eating
you guys.
How about take a
breaking one
sip out of
chip
your
into
drink?
1,000 pieces.
Yeah, take a sip out of your drink. Don't just start
It's
breaking
easy.
chips because the conversation isn't flowing like you'd want it.
Mark says, break the chip. It's a thing, Patrick.
Yeah,
So
it's,
metaphor for breaking the ice, or
Mark
don't
also
understand.
just loved Bill's entire chips and salsa theory.
Yeah,
So-
Mark's gonna agree
Hey,
with anything
look,
Bill says.
Look, it worked perfectly fine for me. All right, I did really well. I'm very pleased. Let's not get into too deep into my personal life.
You
Let's just
started
say-
it. You actually asked
I
for it to be
did,
brought
I
up.
did bring it up, and now you guys are like really over analyzing how it went, and now I feel like I have to go. We have to do like a documentary, a live stream documentary of what happens, which of course that would always go well, but like just me taking the phone, like, all right, we're gonna live stream this and see how it goes.
A
Did you
hilarious,
put a chip in her purse?
hilarious
Hoodie,
responses
put her-
here.
Hoodie? No.
No, that was a college move. Instead of you all right in there? What just happened? Did you have a bug fly in your hair? You okay?
I missed it on the
Did
video
you have a
screen.
spasm, Jen?
No.
Or were you just flipping your hair? Were you just making a comment and then giving me a hair flip?
Actually, no. We've been having some electrical issues with speakers, and I just had my ear blasted out by
Oh,
11
okay.
o'clock. So
No, to answer your question, that was an old school college move. There was a place downtown next to Blue Marlin where you could go to, and they would give you peanuts, and the free peanuts, and you could, and if it was going to, you could casually flirt by, throwing a peanut shell at them. You just didn't want to like throw it in their mouth and choke them because that would have gone down too quick. But,
While you're already on the date, you started throwing peanut shells at him, or that's how you got their attention.
whatever, where it depends.
pay attention to me.
Boy, that'd be a rude move if you're on a date and you start throwing peanut
Yeah, I
shells
was
at
gonna say, it
other
doesn't-
ladies going by.
That would have been bad.
Just testing the jealousy level early on, maybe.
No, I think I can see like if you're just by yourself or whatever with friends and someone's walking by, you throw a shell at them and get their attention. But if you're already on a date with someone, you start throwing
you
peanut
just toss
shells at
you
them.
playfully.
It's probably a sign the
playfully-
date's not going well.
You playfully toss a peanut shell out. Guys, man. I'm. Anyway, that's an off air. It's more of an off air conversation. People are probably fed up enough.
Travis says, "What if she double dips in the salsa? That's a deal breaker." Jed says, "He's got no problem with the double dipping in the salsa, but stay out of the queso." Oh, the salsa queso crossover. That's definitely a pet peeve of mine. You guys don't seem to have any kind of issues with either of those things. As I'm looking at your blank faces on the video stream, nothing. Can't get the red and the. I mean, it's a color thing.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you can't.
Cheese guy.
That you can't. Yeah, you got to separate.
Yeah, separate for sure.
I'm with you.
Hot Sauce Ross did not like Thomas's analogy there. Rooster P feels free, wanted to weigh in. My blind date, worst night ever, he says. That person was legitimately a crazy psycho. Never been so happy to get rid of someone. Left her at Waffle House per her request.
Wow.
Oh, fantastic. Maybe we'll continue with these. Maybe we will move on.
I gotta move. I gotta move on and take care of family members this morning. So
We'll
you
have to move on without
me.
Bill this morning. Good
Yeah.
luck with that, sir. And Josh did hit us up with the ladies. Do not even think about dating Bill unless you have a credit score of higher than 750. It's a good one to send you out on.
Thank you. That's good. Yeah. Thank you, Josh.
803-404-6100. We'll get into some Gamecock baseball thoughts. Tough night last night. We'll get Patrick going because he is so incredibly excited about what his Washington football team is doing, continues to do now on the free agent market. Carolina Panther, the latest signing for the Washington football team. Those details coming up as we roll on this morning. Glad you're a part of the program. 803-404-6100 if you would like to call or text. It's the early game on 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks and new head football coach, Shane Beamer, 107.5 The Game.
Not just to be a head football coach in the Southeastern Conference, but to be the head coach at the University of South Carolina.
Welcome, Coach.
Wanted to tell you guys about Zero Res, professional carpet cleaning, Zero Res carpet cleaning, carpet and air duct cleaning, I should say. They've done a great job coming out to my house a couple of times. I can tell you from firsthand experience, you're going to get great results from Zero Res. But what's especially important to me is how Zero Res does it differently than other carpet cleaning companies. They have a patented powered water cleaning system. No soap involved. That means no leftover soapy residue. That's why my carpets have stayed cleaner longer. Also, no harsh chemicals involved in that process. And at my house these days, where I've got a almost 1-year-old wearing me out, waddling around the house all the time, we got to follow him all over the place, making sure he's staying safe. But we got no extra things to worry about with harsh chemicals involved. No problems with Zero Res. That's especially important these days at my house. And then with a 6 and 8-year-old, you know, we got plenty of messes all the time as well. So we need that extra professional help that Zero Res offers in our home. They'll also do it in your business. If you're in charge of a business, get the commercial cleaning division from Zero Res out to your business, and they'll follow all the CDC guidelines these days, making sure everything is as safe and clean as possible. And right now they've got a great deal for you. Zero Res offers 3 rooms of carpet cleaned plus a free hallway. When you mention me, Tim Hill, just give them a call at 803-262-4020 or book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. It's Zero Res. Spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
All right. Y'all stay in control. I will see you in the morning.
See you, man.
Y'all take care.
Okay, hit me up if you need something.
I will. We'll be listening. Later.
Did you see that Sean Bradley's paralyzed now?
Did see that. Brutal story. Bicycle accident.
Yeah, got hit by a car on a bike.
Less than a block away from his house, I think. That's what I read.
Did you hear about that when it happened?
No, I just heard about it last night.
Yeah. Happened in January.
Oh, wow. Huh.
The Make
Mega Millions jackpot for Friday is $100
Thank you, Bill. It's good to know. DM, I'm not even. What, that happens?
In salsa?
Is that in salsa or in queso? Like you literally just go straight in with the finger dip. Oh, I think that would be a check, please.
Yeah, I mean, I understand wanting to maximize like the buffalo chicken on your chip, but
Whew. Travis, good luck with the PR class, the CPR class. Excuse me. Craig, so you just set up this entire conversation to bring that up. Is that what you're saying? Because you started the analogy about the blind date, or maybe you just feel like the Shane Beamer era is going to work out that well, it sounds like. KT, I'm sure the text is in there. I don't remember it specifically. Let's see. I'll look it up for us. Miss Dennis saying, Patrick really slamming Sister Jean, beware of Gamecock Larry and the Legion of Doom. Oh, wow, at 248. Okay, we'll start that one. Thank you for alerting me to your 248 text there, KT. Good point, Jan. Good point. Thank you, David. I don't know is the answer. Much appreciated. DM with an explanation. Not the finger dip, but little piece of the chip left and dip it to the point that they just get the fingertips in the cheese dip. Gotcha. Yeesh. Good question, Craig. Just calling out former callers. I know Shep's still around listening. Energetic as always. I think he's got still the 6-kid Brady Bunch crew to take care of, so I understand why we don't hear him too much. Hank, we still hear from on the text line. If we ever speak incorrectly about women's basketball especially, it seems like he's dialed into that these days. Chainsaws out there, yep, for sure.
You mean they haven't seen True Detective yet?
Yes, maybe tomorrow. Not yet. That's going to open up a lot of questions I'm not ready to answer.
All right, Patrick, going to start with baseball here, and then we'll move to the NFL. We'll get into some of the Gamecock-specific guys out there, free agency. That's cool with you? Who you got there? Melvin Ingram, Clowney. I'm assuming Swearinger's a free agent right now as well.
all shot of Mike Davis.
Now, Chris, I hear what you're saying there, but do you do it to screw it up for everybody, or do you do it individually, if that makes sense? It's all part of the dynamic here. I hear you, KT. We all miss Swayze. I know his son was also a dedicated listener, and I'm sure appreciates that sentiment.
All right, head it back in. Oh wait, no. Hold on.
Just kidding. No.
Actually,
Good pump fake.
yeah, we are headed back in. Sorry.
So we are back in here.
Yeah,
Keeping us on our toes. Thank you, Jen.
sorry about that. All right, you guys are up.
9-4, the surprising final score last night at Founders Park. The Gamecocks dropping their first midweek game in a long, long time. Didn't drop a single one last year. Did lose a couple of series early on, and that 12-4 record included 2 losses to Clemson, 2 losses to Northwestern in a weekend series. But the midweek games went as planned last year in the brief part of the season that we got to see. It was the year before that definitely things did not go well in midweek games in the 28-28 season in year number 2 for Mark Kingston and company. It looked like this year's team had figured things out for sure and turned the corner and got the Gamecocks back to where most of us are used to them being. And still a ranked team headed into this weekend's SEC opening series at Vanderbilt, even though they lost all 3 games at a ranked Texas team over the weekend, competitive games. A pitch or a play here or there, and certainly that series could have gone a different way. But last night is a difficult one to explain. Davidson came in with a 5-8 record, I believe, overall. 5-8, as I confirmed that right now, on a 4-game losing streak themselves, had been absolutely blown out in a weekend series at the Citadel, where they scored a grand total of 4 runs, and those all coming in the series finale after a couple of shutouts early on. Last night in the 3rd inning, they score 5 runs and go on to add a few more and win 9-4 over Carolina. I mentioned it on the SEC Network Plus broadcast how, I guess if you want to look at this maybe from another sports standpoint, and Patrick, we always kind of look at things through a football lens around here, the trap game label on things. Certainly, I guess, could apply if you look at it in that way when you're talking about coming back from a weekend trip to Texas and getting ready to go on another weekend trip to Vanderbilt this weekend. But college baseball is that, right? That's what midweek games are in college baseball. And the line from Ray Tanner that he would always use in his tenure at Carolina is they all count. And you got to be ready for it. And that's what I was really surprised with last night is that at some point in the game, you never felt like Carolina kind of stiffened its back and strung together several good at-bats and got something going offensively against a Davidson team that has given up some big offensive games. And it was a midweek game for them too. It wasn't like they were just throwing their frontline guys and doing everything possibly they could to win. It was a surprising scene last night at Founders Park. You don't want to make too much about a midweek game in March, and we saw some other big-time programs lose their midweek games. It was East Carolina's ranked in the top 10. They lost last night convincingly to UNC Wilmington, and the night before it was Ole Miss and Arkansas and Florida all losing. So it certainly happens. Don't know exactly how to put this one into perspective except to know that Gamecocks not feeling great about themselves heading to Vandy. KT from Lexington hit us up this morning early on, says, well, it seems that the baseball team's falling back to earth. The fans needed something to hang their hat on this year. I was hoping it was baseball. I know it's a little early, but it's not going to get any easier. I'm hoping they can turn it around. I'm all with KT on that sentiment, and then he ends it with, we're rotting from the inside out. I think that's taking it a little far, but the first part of that is certainly true. Where are you with the Gamecock baseball team, Patrick?
Well, would you say that yesterday was, because I think we've talked about it, if you're extra motivated going into a football or basketball game, like putting in more effort will be beneficial and like going harder and playing harder. But baseball, that's not really the case. You need to be, kind of more focused and locked in. Was last night an example of, do you think them being really disappointed about their performance in Austin and then coming back and saying, we're just going to get all our anger out right now and destroy this Davidson team, and then it bites them in the butt? Was it that kind of showing?
It's a good question. Didn't have that feel from an energy perspective, and it didn't have the other one either, where they weren't dialed into the game or focused before the game. In the pregame huddle, I think it was Brandon Fields, the very talented true freshman outfielder, kind of keeping everyone loose in the circle and getting everybody excited about a game and the whole thing. It was just that's the weird thing that I think we certainly oversimplify or overanalyze from the outside looking in about college baseball is, hey, got to bring more energy, or you got to be more focused, or the whole thing. You just got to produce, right? In those individual matchups, the guys that got their opportunity out of the bullpen needed to be better, especially in the third, fourth, and fifth inning. And then the guys getting their at-bats and their chances offensively, it just never got rolling for Carolina offensively. And you got to give Davidson credit. You come in from Davidson's standpoint, you got absolutely nothing to lose, right? You just got blown out over the weekend. You're on a 4-game losing streak. You're off to a tough 5-8 start. I had to look up, or I looked twice at their schedule. They play Spring Hill, which I guess is a small school out of Alabama over the weekend. So you're not exactly, gearing up for a huge weekend like Carolina is. So they came in and stole one. Looked like the much better team, and they were hitting 224 as a team. So that offensive bit of an explosion is hard to understand. But knowing that Carolina didn't throw any of the weekend starters and didn't put the front line pitching out there, I think that's where you don't want to go too far and say, hey, this team is doomed going into SEC season or anything like that. But a rough 4-game stretch for sure, and the ebbs and flows of the college baseball season on display in a big way for Carolina after the 11-0 start and now 4 straight losses headed to Vanderbilt, where it'll be a very difficult task going up against a couple of frontline guys and Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter, a couple of the best in the country.
If we had said before the season started that South Carolina would be 11-4 going into SEC play, would most people have signed up for that? You got knowing that you
answer your own question. I think the answer is yes, right?
Right.
I would think so.
Yeah. So I guess it depends if you're a pessimist or an optimist, but this could either be the best series to have after a slump or the worst series to have. I mean, I don't think they're going to have any trouble locking in and being ready for Vanderbilt. They know how good of a team it is and know how important it is. So, I mean, if you can get right and take a series like this, I think it's all rainbows and butterflies next week.
Sure, you bounce right back. That's the thing, right? If you're the pessimist, you say, "Oh, this team's doomed. Now they have to play Vanderbilt and then Florida." That's going to be 6 more losses from what you've seen recently. But if you're any kind of optimist, you say, "Well, you can bounce right back. You win a series at Vanderbilt. I mean, you just kind of stamp everyone that, hey, this is a team that is for real moving forward, and you kind of get ahead of a curve to start SEC play. The challenge is large, but so is the opportunity, I guess, is the way that the coaches put that.
And you want to be tested. I mean, I think it's awesome that they're getting tested this heavily early in the season. I mean, a 4-game skid and then you get to play one of the best teams in the country. I think that's only going to be good for you later in the season, even if you only take 1 of 3. Or I don't think anything good will come out of a sweep. But even if you don't take the series, if just knowing that you're going to be able to, I don't know, it's just such a grind. Like you have to be ready, and you have to be able to put that 4-game skid in the rear view and just keep pressing forward. It's important for them.
Barry says, ever stop to think, maybe Davidson just had a great game? Well, they certainly did. Kaiser says, better to get your slopes early than later in the season. I guess talking about the ups and downs of college baseball. Rich says, seems like we struggle hitting the ball. Pretty sad when you can only score 4 against a weak Davidson team. Outside of Wes Clark, we don't seem to have any good hitters. The numbers certainly don't echo that. And last night, there were a bunch of hits for Carolina. I'm looking at it right now. I think it was 9. Yeah, 9 hits as a team. In that Mercer series, they ended up, at least one of those games, had only 6 hits as a team and won the game because they shut Mercer out and they maximized the hits. Last night, it was just a matter of not putting those hits together and getting a rally going. So it's not just that you didn't hit. It was that you didn't hit in the spots that would have helped you out to win the game. Here comes the insert Carolina athletics team here. Skid we've all gotten used to, Tyson says, and seems to be conditioned and beat down at this point.
It's just, I don't know. If this was if you lost 1 game to Mercer, 1 to Clemson, and 2 of 3 to Texas, and that makes you 11-4, it's just a totally different mindset right now. I think got to keep perspective. 14, 15 games into the season.
Hope says, so frustrating losing midweek games that you know you should have won, especially going into a very tough series this weekend. I think that sums up where a lot of Carolina fans are for sure. Good to see Hope weighing in on the YouTube live stream, where she is our personal crusader for the YouTube subscribers on the 107.5 The Game channel. Would love to see
where we're at.
you add to that. If you're like Billy, maybe you're tuning in on YouTube for the first time today. Trey is just bitter, says there are days where I genuinely hate being a Carolina fan solely because of how other fans behave after the slightest appearance of disappointment. Trey, I hear you. And if Carolina had won the series or swept at Texas over the weekend, it's a different conversation. But when it's a 3-game sweep in your first, I guess I shouldn't say first real test. Clemson was the first real test of the season, but certainly your first real road test. And knowing what you're going to face, especially this weekend and after that. And, I mean, look in the gauntlet of the SEC. First 5 teams, D1Baseball.com, their top 25, all 5 teams, Carolina plays this year. But just saying that this is a team doomed now after 4 losses or the last 4 games, that is taking it too far for sure. I understand where he's going with. Just like I think Patrick's taking it a little bit too far with his glee about what the Washington football team has done in the NFL free agent signings. Curtis Samuel, the latest. That was last night that ended up happening, or yesterday at least, adding the former Carolina Panthers wide receiver who was a disappointment for the most part in his career until last year, where he really lived up to the billing that of the reputation he made. What, 2nd-round draft pick coming out of Ohio State, and a guy that can do multiple things. Turned into that guy last year. I think a lot of Panthers fans were hoping that he would be re-signed with Carolina and add to at least the idea of Deshaun Watson coming in and using multiple weapons and the whole thing. But Patrick, I know you're pumped, and well, you should be pumped. I don't know about the ecstatic. And now the line that got me a little bit earlier when you're talking about this was a team that has no holes. I don't know if I would go that far, but I'm excited that you're excited about your team at this point. You deserve it after what the Washington football team did.
Yeah, there's just no glaring needs in the high value positions. I mean, the biggest needs going into the season were 3 of the 4 most valuable positions in football, probably quarterback, wide receiver, cornerback, and maybe left tackle. But I don't think we're as bad there as anyone thinks. But you get the best corner in all of free agency. You feel really good about the cornerback position because you got 2 highly paid guys there. And then you get, I don't know, it depends. Kenny Golladay is probably the best wide receiver in free agency, but Curtis Samuel is just a totally different type of receiver and kind of something that the football team needed more because Scott Turner's offense is all about the quick game and guys being able to run after the catch. So Curtis Samuel is perfect for that. They care a lot about versatility, and that's why they drafted Antonio Gibson last year, guys that can line up as running backs, they can line up at the slot, line up out wide, they can go deep, they can run after the catch. It's just there's a lot of options now, and it's a lot of stress off of Terry McLaurin, and he'll finally be able to catch balls from a competent quarterback, even if some games Fitzpatrick's going to throw 3 picks. So, yeah, I'm very excited now because in the draft you can go any direction. We can take a left tackle if there's somebody you like there. You can take a linebacker and try and shore up the middle of your defense. The draft is our oyster. It's a beautiful thing.
Bunch of opinions rolling in on Gamecock baseball. The Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Ken says people need to get some perspective. Not every team wins all their midweek games. A team that played for the national championship, talking about the Gamecocks, I believe, in 2012, lost to Division II Francis Marion in baseball. Anthony, on the other side of things, wake up, Gamecock fans. The Gamecock pitching staff is not one that'll blow you away. What's happened to the speed of this team? Why aren't we stealing more bases? I didn't know that was going to be a huge thing for the Gamecocks this year. Josiah Seitler got one last night and continues to his hitting streak. Gave the Gamecocks the 1-0 lead in the first inning. I thought it was going to be a typical midweek, relatively easy win for Carolina, and the exact opposite happened after that. Clinton, he's tying the show together nicely for us today on that Cool Care Heating and Air text line. I think we'll be okay this weekend if we take Vandy out for chips and salsa first. Well done, Clinton. Well done. got a smile out of Jen this morning, who's holding things down, producing from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. She's at Jen Jensen Morris, where you can find her on Twitter. Patrick is at _ Patrick Perrette. You got any kind of NFL thoughts or questions, hit up Patrick and want to get his thoughts about the former Gamecock free agents out there. We'll do that when we come back. I'm at Tim Hill 1075 on Twitter. You can watch us on the station handle there at 1075 The Game, up rolling on Facebook and YouTube Live as well. Appreciate you being a part of the show. It's the early game. It's 1075 The Game. Me. Craig, I think there's another game in there, Citadel, a midweek game in between Vandy and Florida. So you win that one and you lose the rest of them, that would be 12-10 at least. But yeah, maybe worst case scenario, right? That would be a heck of a start to a season. Win 11 in a row, then lose 10 in a row. Maybe the Citadel game gets rained out. But you start doing the math, and Craig's right. 500 in the SEC is pretty good.
Well, that wouldn't be 500. It'd be 500 overall, not 500 in the SEC. You
Right.
start at 0-6. It's gonna be hard to get 500 in the league play.
Well, that's where you don't want to go. Tommy Moody mentioning last night, I heard the post-game show on the radio broadcast that Carolina started 1-5 back in 2012, still ended up playing for the national championship. Jan, disagree. I think you're stuck in the past a little bit. If he was a liability, they wouldn't play him behind the plate. He has improved tremendously back there. Not a huge drop-off. Not as good back there as Colin Burgess for sure. But not a huge drop-off. Let's not act like Davidson was running all over Carolina last night. They weren't. And he didn't let anything by him. Thought he did a really good job, especially with guys on third base. You have no choice. No, I think it was a wise move, getting Clark a midweek game behind the plate. He did miss the tag at the plate, but that was a tough play, man. Ball short hopped him, 3 feet in front of the plate from right field and had to come back across the body. That was a play. Does Burgess make the play? Probably. I'll give you that one. But then it's 8-4 instead of 9-4. To me, the larger concern. All right. Okay, Jay. Well, the larger concern is the guys out of the bullpen not performing how you wanted them to perform to be guys you can count on going into conference play. And only scored 4 runs off Davidson pitching staff that anything but Vandy and Florida quality. But it's just one game. Just one game. So how many guys is it, Patrick, with South Carolina ties now unsigned?
With South Carolina ties,
Former Gamecocks.
yeah, probably 5. I would say 5. That have a realistic chance of getting signed, 5 or 6. Yeah.
Who's unrealistic?
I'm not sure that Taylor Stallworth will end up getting signed again. I'm not sure Chris Lamons will get signed.
How about Swearinger?
Not sure Swearinger will get signed.
I think that's fair. But Alshon, Clowney, Ingram, Mike Davis, the guys that will get signed, right?
Jared Cook.
Jared Cook's in there too.
Yeah. Demir Bird, and Farrow. Not sure they'll both get signed.
All these dudes are free agents? Wow.
Yeah.
So let's go the other way then. Is there any Gamecock that is signed?
Well,
Stephon Gilmore, but likely to.
might get traded. Yeah. Hayden Hurst.
I think that's the list, man.
The young guys. I mean, Fenton,
Right.
Nixon, Debo, Daly.
Is TJ Brunson
Kicker.
still signed?
Suck up.
Suckup? I think Suckup's
Yeah, I mean-
probably a free agent.
Is it?
Yeah, like Brunson will probably have to make the team next year. I'm assuming he didn't do anything for them, so he'll be under contract. But I assume that goes for Rico and Markway, Kobe Smith. They'll all have to make the team.
Suck
Good
up just
email,
got a
Jay.
3-year deal.
Wish we could also put on the live video chat the exchange between you and our engineer. That would be extra added entertainment for everyone listening. Suckup just re-signed. It always
did.
doesn't make any sense to me, right? You could also read that Suckup just resigned.
Resigned, yeah. I hate
Oh,
that.
that's true. Yeah. No, 3-year deal, $12 million, $6.25 million guaranteed.
Nice.
I mean, the Bucks lost nobody. I don't know how they did it.
Huh? Yeah, who else did Arizona sign yesterday?
AJ Green.
AJ Green, that's right. Speaking of guys with South Carolina ties. AJ Green and Larry Fitzgerald are your veteran receivers. Not bad,
If Fitzgerald plays,
right? Or they might just replace one veteran great with another.
yep.
About 30 seconds before I head back in.
Carlos Dunlap doesn't have a job. After he whined his way out of Cincinnati, got cut immediately from Seattle.
Guys, right?
Comments rolling in this morning, kind of alternating between being ultra ticked off about a 4-game losing streak that included a 9-4 loss to Davidson last night for Gamecock baseball, and saying, well, pump the brakes. It's still an 11-0 team, and there's no reason to get too excited about a midweek game. Brad kind of in between those two extremes, I think. I'm pretty sure 9 of the top 25 have already lost a midweek game this week in college baseball across the country. Brad continues, says, I wasn't a big fan of the pitch a different guy each inning approach by Mark Kingston, Carolina baseball, though last night. Have your midweek starter that can give you at least 4, set the tone. And that wasn't the recipe for Davidson either. Their midweek guy was hurt and didn't go last night, but it was a guy in the middle that ended up going 4 1/3, maybe 4 2/3, gave up only 2 runs. Jacob Walker was his name. I was just throwing basically one pitch last night that just had the Gamecock hitters off balance, or confused, uncomfortable, whatever adjective you want to throw in there. And it was a surprising 9-4 win for Davidson at Founders Park that sends the Gamecocks off to Nashville with a 4-game losing streak after coming off the loss at Texas, losing all 3 games over the weekend. So tough spot, and will be a big weekend in a lot of ways. If you can win that series, all is forgiven, and the season has a new tone, a new shine to it real quick. You keep going the other way, and there is absolutely cause for a lot of concern, starting off in a hole in the SEC with Florida looming next weekend as well. Talking some NFL with our buddy Patrick Perret, who is all over things these days and feeling good about the Washington football team making some moves. Guys with the former Gamecocks in the NFL, there are a bunch of them right now who are just sitting out there waiting, and from a free agent perspective, it doesn't necessarily, they're not set up for a ton of success, is what you've been telling us mainly off air on the old video stream these days.
Yeah, and it's guys that a couple of years ago you would have thought, hey, these are some of the best players in the league at their position. They're going to be making boatloads of money. They'll all be making double-digit millions per year, and some of them aren't even going to end up making teams this year because of the way COVID has worked and the way they've decided to handle their contract situations and all sorts of stuff. It could be an ugly offseason for the former Gamecocks.
We'll get into the specifics as we roll into hour number 3, get back into our Gamecock football spring ball conversation as well. Line dates? Hour 3 on the way here on the early. Are you talking about John Rocker there, Craig? Where did you send me these stats? Just behind the scenes, we have, you guys probably know if you're in on the video chat right now or in on the video stream that we can, the Kumar Rocker stats. No, Greg, where did you send me? Send it on Twitter. Okay, I'll check it on Twitter. Thank you, Greg. But on our text line, we can put in names. So if somebody signs their name one time, we just plug it in there so we know who it is moving forward. And sometimes we give specific titles to specific texters if they have earned them. Our texter labeled Angry Listener Guy, they're not going to win a series against Vanderbilt, so stop saying it. It's even possible winning the series. And the one before that yesterday called someone a racist, and the one before that was talking about Gamecock basketball not being able to recruit in state, and wow. Tell me it's announcing the baseball game. It's one before that.
This is a sports talk show. It's a crap show.
Oh, that one I didn't even go down there. I just ended after. Oh, this is one of y'all's dumbest bleeping topics ever. Oh, yeah, he definitely earned that one. Angry Listener Guy.
This show absolutely sucks. Can you replay the Dan Patrick show?
Luckily, you pay a lot of money to listen to the show, so.
Man. All right, attaboy, Craig. See, I see what you're doing there. Yeah.
He said, like I've said, anyone can be a sports talk radio host.
Okay. I want to hear his demo tape.
What is good spring football, Sonny? That's the thing I never understood about spring football. Because a good play on offense is a bad play on defense. And the opposite.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's silly. Opponents hitting 108 against Kumar Rocker. But that's the thing. You beat that guy. Boom. If you're that fan right now who's convinced Gamecock baseball is in the tank this morning, then you're going to be that fan that thinks, oh, College World Series, national title, right?
Rocker's going to the MLB next year, right?
Yeah, I believe, yeah, for sure.
He's like top 5 pick material, right?
Yep.
I don't know if pitchers go number 1. Yeah, they definitely go number 1.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's nice of Chad. Look at that. You're getting a little pity.
Thank you.
Little pity from Chad. Maybe he's just a good guy. He's happy for you. Good point, Trey. Yeah, Rocker's going to go number 1. I agree at this point.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the deal or not.
I hear you, Sonny. I think that's the difference between having a new coach and then having a coach with hot seat implications, right? Lots of offense against vanilla defense. Good spring football. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jack Leiter's numbers aren't far off from Kumar Rocker, Al Leiter's son. Their number 2 starter, who would be the ace of basically every other staff in the country.
What's the signing bonus of the number 1 pick in baseball?
It's up there. I think it's 8 digits.
Spencer Torkelson got $8 million.
Right at it, and he was an exception to the rule. First ever, maybe, or one of the few first basemen ever taken first overall. Might have been the first one ever.
Who was the pitcher from Auburn? What was his name?
Casey Mize, I think.
He's in the bigs.
Tigers number 1 pick a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I hear the baby crying. That's not a good sign.
Uh-oh. Well, it can't be your fault, so that's good news.
Yeah, it could still be my fault, Jim.
Mine's got $7.5 million.
Mize got 7.5.
I thought Kyler Murray got like $8 million.
No.
6?
Got drafted by the A's.
5. 4.6 at number 9.
Wow.
Then they offered him $14 million guaranteed, in addition to the signing bonus, if he would have not gone to the draft, NFL draft.
Good for him. And then what did he make instantly with the Cardinals being number 1?
Definitely not as much as his. He's making about $8 million a year. $8.5 million a year. But he'll make his next contract will be 30 plus a year, so he made the right choice.
Thank you, Chavo, I think. So, Jen, we got Carrie at 8:40, like usual, this morning.
Correct.
Right.
And did Bill give you picks?
He did not.
That's too bad.
He said he was going to later. Maybe he'll be researching after he flies in the waiting room.
Yeah, that could be.
So the typical 3 breaks this hour, right, Jen?
Correct.
Okay. So, Patrick, we'll try to stay relatively on time.
Sounds
Carrie,
good.
plenty of time. Okay, Trey, let's see what you got for Bill. I'll take it.
So you just have a live at 8:40.
If Bill doesn't send me a pick, I'm picking Dale Jr.
Excellent.
Nice.
Danica.
Hey, Jen, have you heard from Gamecock Larry this morning?
I have not. So I hope he's okay.
Robbie, Gamecock Larry called us yesterday. He was back home. He was feeling good.
Yep. Yep.
Rolling into hour number 3 this morning on a post-St. Patrick's Day extravaganza that we had yesterday. And my apologies for not working more St. Patty's Day references into the SEC Network Plus broadcast last night. It wasn't a festive type of game.
No.
Where the Gamecocks losing 9-4. It was a 4-hour and 10-minute game. Now, it was kind of set up to be that, right? When you got a midweek game against a Davidson team that had lost 4 straight going in, you weren't going to impress anybody no matter what you did. Score 100 runs. Nobody was going to feel great leaving that thing in between Texas and Vandy. But to lose it 9-4 and that's not what you wanted for sure. Now, you can take it a bunch of different ways, and we've gotten a bunch of different takes in this morning. Just got anonymous texter in. I'm not worried about 4 losses. The texter begins. It's baseball. Losses happen, even to teams you shouldn't lose to. I am worried, the texter backs it up with, about how those 4 games were lost. These last 4 games, especially the first 2 Texas games, it seems like South Carolina gets runners in scoring position with less than 2 outs every other inning and never manages to come through and actually score them. Well, then I got to come back with, okay, is that worse than not having runners on base? Because then you would be concerned about that. I think you can talk yourself into how you lose games, no matter how you lose a game in baseball. I don't think you ever feel good about a 4-game losing streak to say, yeah, I'm okay with how you lost there. I mean, unless you get just 4 fluke games in a row where you get a bad bounce that goes against you or bad calls that go against you. And I don't know. So for those of you that think I was the jinx last night, my apologies. I got that one. We'll see how things continue to work out as Carolina now goes on the road to start SEC play against Kumar Rocker and Vandy. Tomorrow night will be a huge challenge. Jack Leiter, the Vandy starter that goes on Saturday, and then you back that up with a series with Florida here at Founders Park next weekend. A lot will be determined about the Gamecock season, I feel like, Patrick, here in the next couple of weekends, where you win both of the series, you're right back exactly where you want to be. You asked the question a little earlier, would Gamecock fans have signed up for 11-4 going into SEC play? And I say absolutely. I think everybody would have. Last year it was 12-4, the record going when play was stopped, when COVID canceled the season, and everybody said, "Oh, pretty good." But even at the time, it was a couple of series losses to Northwestern, a disappointing one, and Clemson that didn't have the best feel as SEC play was about to start. So I think a lot of unknowns. We talked about the analogy that, who came up with this analogy originally? This was Craig that brought it up earlier about Gamecock football about to start spring ball, and we'll hear from Shane Beaman a little later today, a 1:00 Zoom call scheduled to discuss issues heading into spring ball. And Craig made the analogy that it's like a blind date this season for Gamecock football. You don't know exactly what you're going to get. I think it was pretty decent analogy. That took us off on several paths, but I want to start hour number 3 with where we ended in hour number 2 in the NFL and former Gamecocks in free agency. There are a bunch of them. I think we rolled off 7 names at least, Patrick. I'm going to go through those names again. Jadeveon Clowney leading the way again in free agency after a lot more drama. I feel like last year it just hasn't paid off how he's handled things. And this year is unique in the NFL as well, because I think you're seeing a lot more one-year deals than you typically would in free agency, because the salary cap expected to go up with a new TV deal. Is that the word from a larger picture in the NFL?
Well, yeah, the salary cap went down for the first time in, 20, 30-something years. Teams were banking on it being somewhere around $200 million or $205 million, and it's at $180 million. So they're having to get rid of contracts, get rid of veteran players. It's all like $5 to $12 million a year type players that are getting the axe. So it's not a good time to be a free agent, and particularly Clowney, who has been on 3 teams in the last 3 years and keeps doing 1-year deals and taking a franchise tag and doing the prove it years. He's definitely going to wish that he didn't snub the Browns, I think, last year when they offered him, I think, $100 million in a couple years, or that was rumored that they were going to try and get a 3 or 4 year, 5 year even contract with him. So I don't know what he's going to get. I'd be surprised if he got anything more than like $6 million a year. And I don't know if he's going to just throw in the towel and say, oh, now I need some security. So I'm going to just go ahead and take a multi-year deal that I probably could have gotten double the value of if I had done this a couple years ago. But he's also kind of competing with Melvin Ingram now. I mean, they're fairly similar in how they're going to be used in the NFL. Ingram's more of a pure outside 3-4 outside pass rusher now, and Clowney's, I think we've proven that he's better just lining up as like a 3 technique and being a run stuffer. So I don't know that there's any obvious fits for either one of them. I mean, maybe the Raiders make sense because their pass rush is really bad. Maybe the Jaguars or Jets make a little bit of sense, or the Colts because they all just have a ton of money and everybody can use a pass rusher and defensive line depth. Maybe even the Panthers if that somebody wants to make a reunion kind of back to the area, but it's tough sledding for them. They're not going to make a ton. Ingram suffered from injuries too. He kind of got, I think he got a little extra money in his deal last year with the Chargers because he held out of camp or held into camp by showing up but not putting on the pads and practicing. And we saw that kind of play out in Hard Knocks, but it's going to be tough for him to find a job. And then Alshon, who just a couple years ago seemed to be a bargain for the Eagles, making a ton of money, making the biggest catch in the biggest game in their franchise's history. And now he's just not been able to stay on the field. It's been brutal for him. And I could almost see him not getting picked up at all. Maybe if there's an injury late in the season, somebody makes a call to Alshon. But I honestly think his best bet would be just going back with and reuniting with Carson Wentz if he wants to go play in Indianapolis, because Wentz is one of those guys that just kind of throws the ball up. So you want big targets for him. He's not terribly accurate, so he just throws the big guys, and I think he's got a little bit of trust with Alshon, and clearly Wentz is going through some mental hurdles right now, and getting him somebody that he's very comfortable with and has worked with in the past might be a good way to kind of ease that. Outside of those three, the three big ones, Mike Davis played really well last year, filling in for Christian McCaffrey, and he's going to be a free agent, but again, not a good time to be a free agent running back at all, because running backs seem to be a dime a dozen. So I can see him probably getting a 1-year, $2 million, something along those lines. If he wants a multi-year deal, that's probably gonna be what the average value is, and it's gonna be structured in a way that teams can pretty much cut him at any time. Swearinger was with the Saints last year, and he's a free agent. He's not been able to stick anywhere really. I don't know if it's a fit problem with him or what the deal is, but he's just kind of been a mercenary getting picked up at the end of years. And Damiere Byrd and Pharaoh Cooper are both free agents. Byrd is just kind of a deep threat that guys like him are kind of a dime a dozen now too in the NFL, and Pharaoh's pretty much relegated himself to the role of return man, and I don't know that teams are really excited to use a roster spot on a guy that's not going to do much outside of return. So not a great situation for a lot of Gamecocks that felt like they were in really good, strong positions just a couple years ago.
Trey hits us up on the YouTube live stream. Alshon's going to end up in Charlotte. The Panthers need a veteran receiver role filled. Do you agree with that assessment? Possibility?
I think they need a tight end more than anything. I mean,
so would that
DJ Moore's a veteran at this point, and Robbie Anderson's a veteran. He's a second contract guy. I mean, I don't know how much value
a Jared Cook situation there? Or are you talking about tight
ends? Yeah, I
ends?
mean, Jared Cook seems like he would make a lot of sense in Carolina. You need it's a very specific need when you play Jared Cook, because he's not a blocker. He's going to line up. He's not going to put his hand on the ground very often either. So if you're a team that relies on the tight end to block all the time and you're a run heavy team, then Jared Cook's not going to be your guy. But I mean, if you think about Joe Brady's offenses, they're just the one that we saw in LSU. Thaddeus Moss was not lined up in line very often. He was in the slot a lot. So I could see Joe Brady being able to work with Jared Cook and get that thing figured out.
Anthony from Kershaw on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100, just hits up with a big carrot and a football emoji. I think he's impressed with the knowledge you're dropping there. We'll continue to talk football, get back into that Gamecock football spring discussion about the blind date analogy, as Tennessee had to hit pause on its football program because of COVID issues. They're on the same, I think, timeline as the Gamecocks, about to start spring practice, but having pressed the pause button they announced yesterday. We've got the NCAA tournament tipping off tonight, and 5 o'clock is when our coverage will start right here on 107.5 The Game. Tomorrow, no afternoon local shows at all. We'll be all full day of NCAA tournament as the calendar kind of pushed back a day, at least for the first full day of action starting tomorrow instead of the typical Thursday. Today we get those first 4 games that'll go from pretty much 5 until probably after midnight, with that UCLA and Michigan State game set to be like a 9:57 tip, somewhere in there. So a NCAA tournament and NCAA tournament unlike any other set to get going today. Let's see if Patrick can give us some bracket tips as we continue on this morning. Also set to be joined by Darlington Raceway President, former USC Sports Information Director Kerry Tharp. Our typical NASCAR pick segment coming up towards the end of hour number 3. That's what's on tap here. Glad you're a part of the program. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game. How's that new corner setup working out for you, Patrick?
It's good. I do probably should put something on this wall. I think not having the fan and the light behind me makes the lighting better.
Good lighting. Good wall color you got there.
Yeah. All right, I got Bill's pick.
Oh, how about that upset? Is it one of the 3 that Trey mentioned? He went with Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick.
It is not.
Good thing we said that while Jen wasn't listening. Attaboy, Jay. Subscribe to the YouTube live or YouTube page. School canceled for storms today. Would have been a great day to start the tournament. No doubt. Well, it is kind of starting, but I agree. It doesn't really start. Looks like a spotlight there. Yeah, he's got great lighting, Chris. Oh, Trey taking the McDonald's shot. Well done. I like Trey's suggestion. Oh, just a random Redskin. Start with John Riggins back there. Get a Joe Theismann going. You got the Art Monk and Gary Clark starting lineups over the shoulder. Darryl Green as well, if you need those.
I have cool Redskins art on my wall already.
I think you need to sketch out a logo for them each day and put it up.
We got the helmets by year.
Oh, very nice.
This one's my favorite. The spear.
Awful.
And then the pink thing. Chris Cooley, Sean Taylor, Clinton Portis, Santana Moss, Jason Campbell.
Oh, man, what a bad era of Redskin football that you grew up in.
Well, everybody I just named was awesome except for Jason Campbell.
Were any any playoff teams involved?
Yeah, we've played in 4 playoff games in my lifetime.
Any playoff wins involved with those dudes?
One playoff win.
Well done, Hope. Patrick. We owe you. Patrick Stevens, that is.
Wow.
Not
Thank you,
650.
Patrick.
Well done. Well done.
Excellent.
Trey's pumped.
Seems like only yesterday we started begging.
I actually do have a lot of things to hang on my wall downstairs, but they need to be in frames.
Overrated.
I have something right here.
Scott, I don't know is the answer to that question. Definitely fun.
You can tell.
I have this whole box of newspapers
Oh, wow.
the Stanley Cup and World Series that I need to frame at some point.
You think you are the last person in your generation to keep newspapers?
Probably. Well, I mean, these are probably the only newspapers that people in my generation from DC have.
That's the problem with the digital media stuff, right?
Right.
Can you keep it? What do you take screenshots? Do you show your kids the screenshots?
Right.
Yeah, print out screenshots of the Washington Post homepage.
So weird. Did you do that?
Make a collage photo.
You'd be surprised.
I had to have friends pick up, a couple friends that live in DC pick
Right
up
back.
newspapers
Head
for
back
me.
in.
Morning, Jason.
Okay, guys, are up.
Patrick just giving us a bit of a tour of his video stream setup. Planning on getting some stuff on the walls there. And did we ever get an answer? What's the wall color you got going? It almost looks a little greenish, but I'm guessing it's more gray. It's tough to
I
tell with
think
the
I
lighting.
would call it indigo.
Sorry.
It's like
Oh,
it's like a really
indigo is
light,
burgundy.
Indigo's
like
blue.
flat
Blue, you're right, it is
blue,
blue.
yeah.
Okay, interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that. So is it close to what Jen has behind her and it's just different lighting?
Yeah, but hers is
Okay.
like, I don't know how to describe colors, but hers is a lot like
Cornflower.
more robust. This is just kind of a really muted blue.
Impressive.
I,
Didn't see that coming.
why does
Well
that
done, Patrick.
crayon stand out to me right now? I need to actually look it up and see if that's really a blue.
I wanted to get into what you just did. I brought that up not to get to the color on your wall, but to get to, you busted out some newspapers there that you have saved. You're
Yeah.
25 years old. I'm surprised that you have the newspaper saved, but this is the problem with where we're headed in the 21st century, right? I mean, those are a couple years old. Is that right?
Yeah, this is from October, one is from June 12th, 18, and then one is from November 4th, 2019.
Okay, so 3 and 2 years. Would you even do that now? Would you get newspapers to print out? Like, I always thought that was a really cool keepsake. I think we have some stuff in the office from the 2010, 2011 national championship, some framed state stuff,
Right.
The state headlines or the cover. I think that was courtesy of Pearson Fowler had that done. What do you do in the 21st century? I mentioned, what do you save screenshots? How do you do it? And then how, like, I just went through some old stuff. I've got it up here. I just found the old starting lineup figures. I threw those out there because I got my old baseball cards. My kids are into it. I've given them the old sports cards. They're into
Right.
the new stuff, but they also like some of these old ones. But while I was going through that, there's an old Spurs and Feathers that I have from way back in the day when Joe Morrison passed away, and it was kind of remembering Joe Morrison is why I kept that one. And then some old, just little printouts of breaking the 21 game losing streak, and just tangible things that you can go and look at. I've got some ticket stubs and all that. Like that's another thing.
Yeah.
That won't exist. Is that just where we're getting the lack of nostalgic memorabilia is just not going to be there for an entire generation? How are you going to handle that moving forward, Patrick? I guess is my question.
I don't know. I feel like high school sports and championship covers are going to keep newspapers alive for a little bit longer. Like, I don't know what the Tampa Bay newspaper is, the Tampa Bay Times or the Tampa Bay Tribune or whatever it is.
Good times.
I bet you that their 3 biggest newspaper sales days of the last year were the Bucks Super Bowl, the Lightning Stanley Cup, and the Rays going to the World Series. Like, I would bet anything that those were the days that they printed the most copies and sold the most copies. And then for some reason, I just feel like high school sports, like checking scores and things like that, like the newspaper is still the way to go for those.
But I think they also can make some money off of the one-off printing of those covers, so it's more of a card stock in that way, because the newspapers will fade and everything.
Oh.
So I remember that, like when we had the World Series or the College World Series run, she says, because we have some of those, and Jackie Bradley signed and things like that. So I think that still may be where some of that can come from.
So this is what we need to do. I just figured out we need to create a website called just newspapers to save, and just have people order up their favorite moments, send us some pictures, create the headline, right? Because these things, I mean, there's no way that's a sustainable business model for newspapers, right? Wait until the local team makes a run in sports, and then that's how you're gonna make some money. Hope hits us up, says, I saved all the newspapers from the Final Four and the women winning the national championship. I have the baseball newspapers as well. Zach hits us up, one of my favorite newspapers I have from Omaha in 2011. The headline reads Cockadoodle 2. So that's from the Omaha Herald, or is that from the state is my question. I'm guessing it might be from the Omaha Herald out there.
I'm sure a lot of people listening have newspapers from either the baseball championships, the women's championship, the Final Four, Alabama, all those things. I bet you
a lot of it. But that's a decade old. The 2011 championship, and a little bit more than that for the 2010 and the 2010 win over Alabama. A lot has changed, I feel like, in this last decade, and I'm wondering if
it definitely didn't cross my mind to get a newspaper copy when we went to the Final Four.
So you don't have one?
Oh yeah, I was on a bender. I was just way too concerned with that and just keeping the momentum going. I should have thought about it. It would have been nice to have.
It's an interesting shift, I feel like, for sports memories. And I don't even know if you do that digitally now. You know, the YouTube availability of that Carolina win over Duke just ended up popping in not too long ago, maybe a couple of months ago. Maybe that's what you kind of go to now, because I'm trying to think about how I'll tell my kids or kind of show my kids what happened. That's probably where I'll go instead of busting out a newspaper, is to show that, hey, check, like I did that with the Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins 1988 dunk contest the other day. We watched 12 minutes of kind of YouTube highlights of it. They're all into it. One of these days, if they get interested in it, I'll probably show them maybe the Whit Merrifield walk-off hit to win the championship against UCLA, or I don't know. Maybe we're just changing how we're going to have the next generation remember these things. I would think that the video link will be a more interesting way to absorb that for the next generation than maybe looking through a yellow newspaper, because those ones from just a couple of years ago, they're already fading on you, aren't they?
They are actually fading, which is a little concerning.
But those are things that you want to post. You know, you can't just put up on a wall a video clip, you know, unless now you're into the digital frames. But still, I mean,
they're all going to be NFTs.
I'm sorry.
Stepped in what?
NFTs, non-fungible tokens. That's what the NBA Top Shot is.
I don't even know what that means. Non-fungible? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I don't know what it is either. I know that's what it's called, though.
You sounded like you knew what it is.
Sounds like
I know that it's like the blockchain copies of whatever.
Cryptos, and whatever. Cryptocurrency?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think like the Kings of Leon put like an NFT album out, and every celebrity is making their own like NFT of themselves. It's all the rage.
Wow, 21st century, man. It's all part of
Which
it.
I can't sell my Anthony Davis card. I've been trying to sell it for $1,000 and nobody's biting.
Well, so you got the Top Shot thing?
Yeah, I got a pack. I got an Anthony Davis card that looks like it's supposed to be pretty good, but I mean, I bought it for like $80, and I bought the pack for like $80, and I would like to sell it for a lot more than that, but no one's biting on that 1,000.
Just the words you're using don't make sense, right? Not a card, not a pack, but that's what
It's a moment. Yeah, it's a moment.
And it's just a video link, right? That's what you earn.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you would. Wow. Still, I'm still boggled by that NBA Top Shots whole concept, and now how walls will look in the future. Maybe that is the way that it'll go, Jen. You're talking about the digital frames. Maybe that's it. Maybe you'll just have either short video clips or the digital images that can kind of scroll through. Maybe that's where we're headed. I'm glad we're not quite there yet. I'm glad even you at 25, Patrick, still have the old yellowed newspaper now, the aging newspaper that you'll be able to pop on your walls. Maybe it'll be a collector's item here in 25 years.
That's $1 million idea, though. The like a picture frame that you can just kind of swipe through and just put a different piece of artwork up every day. Yeah. Or it'll be automatically synced to like memories. Like it'll be this day it's sports history frame, and it'll just change every day. Ooh, I like that. The physical embodiment of the old timey clip of the day.
There you go.
The old timey frame of the day.
Yeah, the old timey. Yeah.
That's what's new. That's what's next on the horizon here. Oh, we're getting all kinds of concepts today. We've been all over the place. Gamecock football. The comparison has been made to like a blind date coming up here in the 2021 season. Going to hear from Shane Beamer a little later today. Not sure what kind of info we're going to get except his evaluation of kind of the off-season conditioning program. Certainly the new coaching staff has been around each other more, still hasn't been able to evaluate the players, and I think that's what is basically going to be spring football for Shane Beamer and his new coaching staff. Okay? You've talked about it. You've got these concepts you want to put in. You think you know how you want to run your team, but you got to figure out if the personnel fits. And then I feel like it's going to be an evaluation period and then combined with an adjustment period from the coaching staff in how they feel they can best utilize what they have moving forward. It's an odd time. Evaluation and adjustment, I think that can be applied to the blind dating scene. Maybe you understand exactly where we were coming from in our earlier conversation. Maybe not, and I understand that as well. Get back to some of your Gamecock baseball thoughts when we come back after a disappointing 9-4 loss to Davidson. Makes it a 4-game losing streak now. The Gamecocks will take with them on the road to Nashville in the SEC Series opener this weekend at Vanderbilt. 803-404-6100. If you would like to weigh in, it's the early game. It's 107.5 again. Right on cue, this promo of the new coaching staff. Kevin felt the need to just text in that he picked 3 out of that Final 4 in 2017.
2021
North Carolina, South Carolina, and Gonzaga. Well done, Kevin.
Okay, what's your name?
Oh, what does he got here?
There's a variety of things that I could potentially hang up.
Right.
This is just a frame, but it doesn't necessarily fit any of the things that I need it to fit. Got the Kramer. Let's put the Kramer up.
That's going to go nicely behind you. Definitely have to put the Kramer up. I would suggest the other wall, not directly behind you, but kind of in the corner there. Oh, yeah, but it's got to go much higher. Oh, no, we lost. I mean, go wherever you want to. You put it wherever you want to. I'm just saying from a framing perspective, yeah, if that's towards the top, we're looking good. Oh, love it. Love it.
Yeah. The other things I have to. My sister made this on her Cricut, which is
Wow.
I don't really understand what it is, but that's a thing now. And this is what I need to get framed. It's what year? 1845. It's like a outline map plan thing of the city of New Orleans.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
that's cool.
I like maps.
Junior cartographer. Nice.
I like maps and I like globes. That's why I got my little globe on my desk too.
Nice. They do go hand in hand.
I think they look cool on walls.
Now,
I
see,
love the Kramer. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Chris asked, "What's my oldest one of my older baseball cards?" We have Bob Gibson rookie. I don't even know what year it is off the top of my head. I think that's one of the older ones. Also got an old Wilt Chamberlain basketball card. I think who do I have? A Rick Barry rookie card as well. Some of the. Oh, Bill, you're an actual cartographer, or are you just
Stop it.
having fun with that?
They don't have cartographers anymore. Everything's mapped now, isn't it?
It's all GPS these days, right?
I just think of the Truman Show where he's trying to explore and the teacher's like, "Sorry, honey, there's nothing left to explore. We've discovered it all."
Is that a Mike Schmidt from the late 70s, Chris? You got a Clark Schmidt before he was born. I'm impressed. I didn't know Clark Schmidt from the 70s.
Geographic Information System mapping.
Okay.
Oh, way over my head.
Dan Fouts. Nice. Hope you went all 4 number 1 seeds. That's so disappointing. That's such a Bill Gunter move. That's basically what he told us he did. Nice, Jason. 3 Joe Montana rookie cards. Hope they're in good shape. Have you had them graded is the question. I didn't know that was a thing until the other day. So you have to get your cards graded these days to make sure they're in good shape. The old mint or near mint. No, Hope, you did not have to. You did not have to fill out your bracket with all number 1 seeds. Oh, Zach, impressive.
I have 1, 2, 3, and 10.
1, 2, 3, and 10. Nice. I want to hear this on the air, Jen.
Probably not that impressive, but we'll see.
What's the lowest seed to ever make a Final Four? Do we know?
What's that?
The lowest seed to ever make a Final Four? A 15? Is a 15 minute?
No.
On that much of a Cinderella run? I don't know.
11,
You
maybe.
guys are up.
We're all over the place. We're getting Patrick's wall decorations. He's got the Kramer up now and on the wall. Now it turned dark back there and you can hardly see it. We need to still work on it. He's shown us his love for maps. He's got an old what is that? A city plan of New Orleans, maybe from the 1800s, something like that. It's pretty cool. Still looking to get that frame and get it going. Right now, as far as sports topics, we're talking a little sports cards on the live video chat during the break, and Jason proud of his 3 Joe Montana rookie cards. Good stuff. And Zach with an Ozzie Smith signed rookie card in Cooperstown. He said, "Good for you guys. These are good ones for sure." I just don't know. It was I hit that time, Patrick. I'm 43 years old, so my main card collecting time was right where the market just got flooded with all the cards. I think from like 87 to 1990, and so the ones that I thought I would retire on, I'll save them for a couple of decades. Now they're worth exactly what they were worth a couple of decades ago. Maybe.
Got to strike with iron top.
So I've given them to my kids now. So yesterday we were looking up what's a John Olerud rookie worth. It's like, man, he was a really good player, and explained to him the whole helmet thing, and I think it's $1. Wow. Saved it for a
But what a fun experience for the kids.
Oh, it's true. It's true. It is fun. It's until they write down. I've made them now write down the cards I need to look up instead of just them asking me incessantly throughout the day. So we have one time during the day I'll look up your list, write it down, and now the lists front and back, being like 100 names.
Wow. Little
I
sales
have a-
stations.
I have a box of cards, but I never once even thought about looking up their value or anything like that. We would just do weird things with them. Like if I had football cards, I would just we would line them up on the floor opposite each other and make a team out of them. Like this is my
Nice.
quarterback and my wide receivers and my running backs, and we'd just play with them and do mock games and things like that. But never
Nice.
actually
I
did
like
it as an investment.
I did that
Well,
with
see-
farm implement toys. Anyway, go ahead.
It's because I'm close to your dad's age that you always mention and make me feel really old. So our generation was told by our parents' generation, my dad's generation is the generation that played with their cards as well and put them in the bike spokes and then threw them away. And then that's why the value of those things went way up because there are so few of them. So they all told us, hold on to your cards. Don't be like me. If I had held on to my cards, I'd have so much money these days. And so we all hold on to our cards, and guess what? Apparently the way economics works, that's why we got that. Well done with Zach as well, who has the Ozzie Smith signed rookie card, hitting us up with the 11 seed as the lowest seed to make the Final Four. It's brought up on the live video chat as well. Most recently, VCU in 2011. Hope put all number 1 seeds in her Final Four, so she is officially suspended for 30 seconds on the video chat. Good news. Hope your suspension's over. Jen, you said you have what seeds in your Final Four?
I have a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 10.
I love that mix. Now, can you put some names to those numbers? Who is your number 1 seed? So Gonzaga, Michigan, Illinois, and Baylor are the 4 number 1 seeds out of those 4 number 1s. Which one did you choose to go all the way to the Final Four?
Well, I had to go Illinois.
Okay.
Lot
Patrick
of
totally
family with
endorses
but,
that.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Frank Martin would be all for that as well with his buddy Brad Underwood leading the way. Okay. Now your number 2 seed. Who you got?
Iowa.
Interesting. Patrick, you do not like that one, I'm guessing.
Well, that means Gonzaga's not in it.
Right.
Well,
And that was a tough decision. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know that much about all the teams, but this has just been a weird. The tournament's always odd.
Yep.
Stranger things have happened, so I'm kind of going unpredictable a little bit.
I like it. Number 3 seed. Who you got?
Arkansas.
An SEC representative. We had another texter who hit us up and have Arkansas winning the whole thing, which is interesting. All right, now who is the number 10 seed you have in the Final Four?
Maryland.
It's not Butler this year. Oh,
No.
sorry, didn't mean to bring that up.
Maryland.
Maryland? Are you
There
just
you go.
sucking up to Patrick?
No.
No, it's because they play the best defense in the nation. They switch everything, and they're ferocious on defense. Limited in size, but big in heart.
I
I'm
have
trying to think
them in the finals.
who that's
Maryland and
worked out
Illinois.
for. That's usually not the recipe in the NCAA tournament, Patrick. That's why Virginia was always ripped, and especially after the 116 loss.
They're the defending national champions, though.
That's true. They did win the national championship. And I think some people thinking they might make a run again this year, assuming they're good with their COVID issues, and that's quite the drama. All right, Patrick, what do you make of that? I think that is the percentage play that we brought up the other day, is that typically it might be in the 30% range, 37% of the time. It has been throughout NCAA history, it's 1 number 1 seed in that Final Four.
Yeah.
2 number 1 seeds is not far behind as far as how many times it's happened in its history, and it's just happened once. I think that all 4 number 1 seeds have made it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a much better Final Four than Bills. There's just no chance that Bills is going to come true and all 4 number 1s are going to make it. Honestly, you could blindfold yourself and fill out the bracket, and you'd have just as good of a chance as someone who spends hours researching the teams and then pops them in. So
Hang on for me.
I will never be one to criticize someone's bracket.
Anonymous
Except
Raj hits us up with, I haven't even filled mine out yet. That's where I'm at. I'm with you on that thing. The more creative, the more credit I give you. So that's why I'm down on Hope's picks and Bill going with all the number 1 seeds, especially this year. Where it's so unique. I'm certainly pulling for as much creativity, as much kind of bracket chaos as we can get. Did you ever flip cards? Elementary school. Too much to explain, Anonymous Raj says. Patrick, ever flip cards there?
I mean,
You can know what he's talking about.
I thought I see here flip as in trade and ultimately get better ones.
No, I don't
Okay.
think that's what he's talking about. I think he might be talking about where you just toss the. I know my father-in-law played the old toss. I think he did it more with trading cards, but you toss the cards to the corner and you try to get him to stand up in the corner.
Oh,
That might be flipping cards as well. Maybe
that sounds difficult. I was thinking it along the lines of like flipping a house.
Hold on, let me see. if
Robert's
it's still
got a
going in,
great
okay? Hold
text.
on.
I played mock games with Skittles and M&Ms. I was an only child. I was lonely. Well done, Robert. His last text was about Bristol and Darlington with dirt tracks and the whole thing. And I'm sure he'll be looking forward to the comments of our next guest coming up when we come back. It's Darlington Raceway President Kerry Tharp. Our NASCAR picks. Bill's pick is in. Patrick, you say you have the super secret pick from Bill.
I have a number 1 and a number 2, so hopefully they don't both get picked at the beginning. Otherwise, I'm picking Dale Jr.
It's coming up. It's the early game here on 107.5 Game. Speaking of cards as an investment and the whole thing, if you're playing the big boy version of that these days and you're in the market to refinance or to get a new mortgage, I recommend you check out Buford Lending, the proud sponsor of our video stream here on the early game. Buford Lending, Benji Getsy is your guy there. 25 years. He's been a mortgage broker, so he knows the industry, knows the business inside and out. And all Benji's asking is that you give him a call. You can still also give calls and explore other options like you always have, maybe previous relationships. What Benji promises you, though, is that he thinks he can get you a better deal just because of his experience and because he's a mortgage broker. He's not connected to a bank. He has the Buford Lending mortgage brokerage there and therefore feels like he has the flexibility to find you the best deal out there. You might have heard his financial minute that we have running here on station to give you the up-to-date information. He uses that. He uses experience and is going to get you the best deal possible. 843-524-2404. That's the number. Just add it to the list. He understands you're smart. You're going to do your homework. You're not going to go jump into something that is a bad deal for you. You're going to do your research. And so all he asks is that you let him have a shot at giving you the best deal possible, whether you're refinancing, you're looking for a new mortgage, a new house, the whole thing. Now is a great time to do that. And Benji Getsy and Buford Lending, a great option for you. Again, the phone number, 843-524-2404. Benji Getsy with Buford Lending. He's my broker, your broker, and South Carolina's broker. Take this down and get Patrick back up. There we go. Yeah. There we go. I think I saw where Darlington also you can hop on the track these days this weekend. Check out the details here.
COVID-19 pandemic has intensified.
Did I lose my internet or did I type it wrong? Weird. I just can't type.
Winthrop. Somebody's got Winthrop in their final four on the text line.
What's that?
Somebody's got Winthrop in the final four in their text line.
That's a heck of a pick. All right. Track laps for charity.
this Atlanta? What this is? All right, I did a little research to make Bill's pick sound good.
Good luck with that.
All right, Carrie's ready. All right, guys are up.
$20. Had to read that a couple of times. That's really all it takes to get you on the Darlington Raceway this weekend. I need clarification from Darlington Raceway President Kerry Tharp. I'm looking at, just tweeted out the link, and you guys are raising money, running money for a good cause and letting people drive around the track. Is that correct, Kerry?
Absolutely. $20, 3 laps around the Lady in Black on Saturday from 11 to 2. Proceeds go to Donate Life South Carolina, which is the Oregon donation initiative that partners with the Department of Motor Vehicles. So it's a great cause, and it'll be a lot of fun. Weather looks be pretty favorable. So I encourage folks from around this region.
I signed up. I'll be there. Got the Camaro. Yep, pretty excited.
Good.
Nice.
I look forward to it.
Kerry, make sure you get some video evidence of that so we can throw it all over the social media. He's at Kerry_Tharp, where you can follow him on Twitter, at Tim Hill 1075, where I just retweeted the link specifically for the Darlington Raceway opportunity. At $20, get you 3 laps at the track Too Tough to Tame this weekend, and money will go to a good cause. Let's get straight to our picks, or at least assessing what happened last week at Phoenix. It was Martin Truex Jr. taking the checkered flag, and in our points contest, I see, fortunately for Reggie Anderson, he gets the most points there. Unfortunately for Kerry, you ended up having Kevin Harvick in that one, and he ends up finishing the worst of our group. Actually, some pretty good picks. You guys all had solid finishes, it looks like, in the top. I mean, Harvick finishes 6th, and he's the worst in the 4-person picks contest. That's tough, Kerry.
Gets the win, and you would have thought he either won at Phoenix before, but that was his first career win at Phoenix. So a big momentum boost for him now as we head back to the East Coast. A lot of the heavy hitters were in the top 7 or 8 last week at Phoenix. I kind of expect the same thing to hold true this weekend in Atlanta.
Yeah, much closer to our area. Unfortunately, Bill still leads our picks contest, Kerry. You're only 2 points behind him. Jen is trailing in last right now. Reggie Anderson moved into 3rd place. So let's get right into our picks. Kerry, you're our guest. You get to go first. Who's going to win it in Atlanta?
Strong.
Okay.
That was my
Solid.
number 2 pick.
Okay, what you get number 1. You get your number 1 pick right now. I'm hoping both of Bill's picks maybe get taken off the board. Jen, no pressure.
That would be amazing. I thought about kind of going, because everything has been so odd and sort of out of the box. I was thinking, maybe like a William Byron, get him in there, because Hendrick team's doing well, but I think I played a little safer from your Keselowski.
Okay, so we have Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick off the board. Bill left to pick with Patrick. Fortunately, we don't have to be subjected to his self-proclaimed NASCAR expertise and obnoxiousness. Patrick, where's Bill going?
Well, Bill got his number 1 pick. This guy's been money this year. 4 top 5s in 5 races.
He gave you a
The
script
only
too.
one he didn't. The only one who didn't finish top 5, he finished 11. Starting on the poll this week, Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin. Jeez.
Of course, he went with Hamlin.
Is he not? Wow.
So weak.
He had
Carrie,
a
you
dream last
mentioned
night
it.
that Hamlin will win. He just texted me.
Yeah, he's dreaming about NASCAR. Carrie, I think you've done your job and then some.
45.
We traded a bunch.
Pretty much.
No doubt about it. And you mentioned your NCAA bracket. You want to give us your winner or your Final Four, Carrie, here in the last few seconds that we have?
Sure, yeah. I'll go
30.
Final Four. I'll go Gonzaga. I'll go Baylor. I'll go Illinois, and I'll go Michigan.
All
like
4
it.
number 1 seats. Unbelievable.
I like it better when you
Appreciate
say
you.
Bill.
All chalk. At Carrie_Tharp, where you can follow him on Twitter. Darlington Raceway President Carrie Tharp. Appreciate your time as always, sir.
You bet. You guys have a good one.
Thanks, Kerry.
5 o'clock later today, where the first 4 coverage starts here on 107.5 The Game. 1 o'clock, Shane Beamer press conference. Thanks for listening to the early.
This is Todd Ellis, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
All right, guys on the live stream, thanks for hanging with us. Patrick, excellent job in that NASCAR pick segment, sir.
Thank you.
Jeez. And of course, would just leave it to Bill. They have a script.
He's very happy. No, he didn't have. I did the research for him. He just told me.
Oh, what? Oh,
No, he told me his exact words were Denny Hamlin picked number 1, Chase Elliott picked number 2, and Kyle Larson number 3. If those clowns hold me down again and take my pick.
What is this?
There he is.
jeez.
Perfect timing, Bill, right after the show's over.
You got your man. Morty.
Good job, everybody. Good job, Patrick. Good job, live stream people. That's how we do it. That's Hamlin for the victory.
Unbelievable.
I knew I should have picked Hamlin.
And you're doing this while driving?
No, we're in the parking lot. We're walking
Okay.
in now. I thought I could do it from my phone real quick, so I thought I'd jump on for the last second.
Well
That's
done.
hysterical.
All
All
right.
right.
We're
Perfect.
walking in. We'll see you in the
All
morning.
right.
Good luck, Steve.
See ya.
Pulling for you.
Oh.
Get out of there.
All right, buddy.
Oh my gosh.
See you guys on the live stream. Thanks for tuning in. How about that for a cameo at the end? What a send off.
What a cheese ball. I mean, what a send off. Yeah.